have to play cricket. We are sportsmen. We cannot, excuse anything. We come here to play, and inshallah we'll try to our best.
Got a couple changes in your 11. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Nasser is playing. Nadeem is not playing. So hopefully he'll come strong and perform for himself and for the team.
Here you have it from Oman captain Zishan Maksud, and I'll bring in USA captain Monank Patel. Monank, if you would have won the toss, what would have been your decision?
First of all, I need to win the toss. I've been losing the toss. I would have bet first too. The wicket looks good, really good to bat on, and we have seen chasing is not that easy. But yeah, I'm saying that we will like to defend as low as possible.
You've had 12 hours to reflect on what happened yesterday. A lot of that time just spent sleeping, but you've had a little bit of time to process what happened. What's the mood in the camp after what happened yesterday?
I think it's positive vibes. We've been playing really good cricket, and we want to continue playing towards strength and execute our plans. So everyone is in a good mood. Yeah.
Coming back to back 2 days in a row with the hottest days of the tournament. Physically, how is the team holding up?
Yeah, there's some fatigue with some players, but yeah, it's natural. It's too hot right now, and saying that we need to be mentally strong and come back stronger. Yeah.
Any changes to the USA 11 today?
We have a couple of changes. Ali Khan is resting, and Cameron comes in, and Rahul is resting, and Noshidosh comes in.
Thank you, Monank Patel. There you have it. From the middle, the news again is that Oman has won the toss and chosen to bat first. So there you have it. USA's got to find a way to battle back today, and they've got two reinforcements in the 11. You can see one of them on screen there. Cameron Stevenson, number 13, is in the starting 11 today. He took 2 catches as a substitute fielder yesterday over the course of what was a remarkable day. You have Saurabh Netravalkar, you can see on screen there, number 60. He's got the new ball in hand as we've got play just moments away from getting underway. Leslie Reefer Jr. standing today at the Massey Ranch end. And isn't he a magnet for dramatic finishes? He was out there in the middle in Antigua, Oman, for the incredible last ball finish that went to a super over between USA and Canada at the America's T20 qualifier. And he was right in the thick of things again yesterday at the Pearland end to judge Rahul Jarwala just short on the final ball run out that ended the 41st tie in men's ODI history.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable match yesterday, and Leslie Reefer Jr. very calm under pressure. The U.S. team a little bit disheartened after yesterday's performance. They're going to look for a big bounce-back game against Oman here.
Saurabh Netravalkar flicked away. This is going to be 2. As Jatinder Singh gets the scoring underway.
Yeah, remember the first time we saw USA take on Oman when Saurabh Netravalkar came over the wicket. Jatinder Singh was very free to play around, and he played that wonderful slog sweep that went over the east side fence. That was well outside the off stump, so maybe we might see a quick change from Saurabh Netravalkar. He'll start to come around the wicket rather than over.
Just Stephen Taylor and it slipped today with Monank Patel behind the stumps. And there's a bit of cloud cover at the moment. Similar to yesterday in some ways, where there's clouds hovering about through a good chunk of the day. The wind is quite fierce at the start of play. You don't usually see this until after the clock strikes 12, but already on the first ball play, the wind is blowing fiercely out to the east, which is the leg side for Jatinder on strike. So it's going to take the ball back in with Saurabh Netravalkar's gentle in swing. Saurabh, the former India under-19 representative, bowls in the high 70s. He's been in his bag low 80s. You might see Manak Patel come up to the stumps. In fact, you probably will see Manak Patel come up to the stumps at some point. One of Saurabh Netravalkar's spells, but for the moment, Manak standing back. The players for USA, just over 12 hours, since what happened yesterday. We've had a little over the same time. Aman, what have you been doing since yesterday's finish to unwind and digest what happened in front of us?
Just laying in bed really helped. Getting some food in the system was good. But the USA players, again, you could tell based off the body language yesterday, they felt that was their game, and they just threw it away. They're not happy with the tie. They, again, felt that they should have won. They felt that they left points on the table. They got to find a way to have a short memory and come out. It's a new day. It's a new match, and you got to put all your attention now on the team ahead of you.
Watchful from Jatinder, who sees off the rest of the over after a 2 first ball, and it's 2 for none after 1. We'll take a look at USA squad here. 2 changes. Cameron Stevenson comes in for Ali Khan. That was expected. Ali Khan rarely, if ever, plays back-to-backs. So Stevenson comes in as a replacement for Ali Khan, who's being rested today. And Stevenson is going back to take the new ball in place of Ali Khan. And the other change, Ash Kenjigay comes in for Rahul Jarawala. Now, I was concerned about this. And I got to say, I wondered if they would make that switch after what happened on the last ball yesterday. It was Jarawala who was on strike for the final delivery. Couldn't get the single, flicking it straight to Karan KC, who was fielding very tight at short fine leg. And in my mind, I would have kept Rahul Jarawala in the 11 simply from the standpoint of you don't want something like that weighing on his mind. I would have got him straight back on the horse, get it out of his system, get it out of his mind, make sure he plays the next match to get on the field and help erase that memory. As Prajapati, with a firm back foot punch, getting this wide of Kenjigay backward point for Oman's first boundary. And in no way do I think Rahul Jarawala was chiefly responsible for USA ending up with a tie. I feel like it never should have come down to him. There was no reason why they shouldn't have gotten to victory 1 or 2 overs earlier. It was really up to the senior players to get across the line. There were so many things that happened as we take a look at this replay with Prajapati just firmly guiding this wide of Kenjigay. Stephen Taylor was called for 1 short run during the chase, which a lot of people have forgotten about, but that was pointed out to me as a reminder by one of the scorers before the start of play today. Here's this one is shortened down the leg side. It's signaled wide by Samir Bandekar, who's standing at the Pearland end today. And it was a short run that was a very casual, too. There was no reason why he should have been called short. He hit a 6 off the next ball. It was against Sushan Bari in the middle overs during the chase. It wasn't like they were hustling and he was just short of the line. They jogged a 2, and for some reason, Stephen Taylor didn't get his bat across the line to ground it. So that was 1 run short that USA lost. There are a number of other blunders over the latter stages of the chase. Aaron Jones playing 5 dot balls to start his innings handed momentum back to Nepal. You could hear the Nepal fans going nuts when Jones was playing dot ball after dot ball to get off the mark. It never should have come down to Rahul Jarawala, but the fact that he's a teenager just playing what was his 3rd match and having that happen where he's in the middle for the final ball, I feel like just mentally for him, for his confidence, the best thing would have been for him to play today, and I don't agree with sitting him out today because it, in some ways, sends a message that he is at fault, and now he's going to have all the time in the world to have that weigh on his mind instead of just moving forward. What's your take on what happened in that context yesterday, and specifically Jarwala being left out of the 11 today?
And I agree with your point of the fact that it shouldn't have come down to Rahul Jariwala. We also talk about they needed 1 from 2 deliveries. Aaron Jones chips one up to mid-wicket. The one fielder outside the ring, he picked him out. And again, you're not going to blame one particular person. There's a lot of things that went on throughout the day that led to that result end up happening. And in terms of leaving Rahul out today, again, you never want to leave a youngster short on confidence, have something drilling on his mind. And I also think there's a delicate balance to be found here because Naj Kanjige is one of your most talented players, one of the mainstays of the U.S. team for a very long time. When you're better fielders, very, very good bowler, can come in with the bat at the end as well. So you never want to leave him out if he's healthy. So I think that balance has to be found. I would have liked to see Rahul Jariwala play. I hope the message before the match was, look, this is not because of the fact that what happened on last ball. It doesn't even matter. It's not your fault. Take that away. We just feel Nash gives us a better option today just because he can do more things.
Stephen Taylor now coming out of slip. Goes to a very wide gully. And too short on the body. And this one is pulled. There is protection out there. Deep fine leg in place. Nisarg Patel. And then just strategically, you talked about it at the time. You were critical of Gajanan Singh's shot to get out in that situation. But also just the decision to put Jarwala in at number 6 at that stage of the chase in the first place. You've got a veteran in Nisarg Patel who at the start of this tour had back-to-back unbeaten innings in the 30s. He's been in the national team for quite some time. This one is driven through the covers, beats Madani. That's going to go to the rope. So boundary to start the over, boundary to end the over, bookending a 13-run frame against Cameron Stevenson. It is now 15 for none after 2 on the same pitch we used yesterday here at Musa Stadium in Pearland, and the runs have not stopped basically since the start of play yesterday morning. As you can see, Prajapati just thumped that one through the offside. But Nisarg Patel, there's 2 ways to look at it. You want to keep Nisarg Patel back just in case Jarwala isn't able to get to the end, and you've got protection with a veteran player as an insurance policy. But from my standpoint, I think the better move would have been to put Nisarg in that situation so you don't expose a teenager playing in his 3rd match to that kind of heavy pressure. What do you feel would have been the right move in that situation when Gajanan Singh's wicket fell?
And again, that point was also brought up to me. I had a couple of people text me, why not Nisarg Patel in the situation? And again, I don't necessarily, again, it would have been a great move to bring in Nisarg Patel, but I don't think Rahul Jariwala really faltered under pressure either. You saw him play very well, had a couple of dots in his innings, but he was continuing to move the strike, continuing to rotate, didn't try to do too much, just unfortunately couldn't get it past the inner circle of the final delivery.
As Netravalkar is now into his 2nd over. Taylor at a very wide slip. 41st tie, though, in ODI history. 2nd one in this League 2 competition. UAE and Oman played to a tie back in February, just a few months ago, off of a very chaotic last ball where there was overthrows and poor fielding, poor backup that led to a frantic couple of runs that were scampered to finish with a tie on that occasion. Much different circumstances. And the other thing that was so remarkable from the Nepal perspective is their fielding was so sloppy throughout the entire match, and yet at the most important moment, in the final moments. Rohit Paudel with an incredible catch, diving forward, charging in from deep mid-wicket. And then on the last ball, I talked about earlier in the game, poor situational rotations, poor backup, things that you don't see cricket teams practice an awful lot. When USA had that overthrow that went for 4 runs, which again is a key moment in the match now, looking back, where Yasir Muhammad and Gajnan Singh couldn't cover a throw at the non-strikers end. Contrast that with Nepal, that final sequence looked like that was a play that they practiced over and over and over because everybody did the right thing in terms of positioning, backup. You saw Karen KC fielding very tight end. He was not on the ring at all. He was a good 10, 15 yards in from the ring at short front leg. Fields the ball. We've talked about numerous times in the week, panicky throws. Shirag Suri and other players with panicky throws in run-out situations. He gently lobbed it to the non-strikers end, and Dipendra Singh Airi, who was at mid-off, charged for the stumps. He didn't wait for the bowler to try and get back. Adil Alam, he didn't know if he was going to get back in time. Dipendra Singh Airi sprints as fast as he can from mid-off, gets to the stumps to collect the throw, and gets the bails off. Clean collection. There were so many things to like about that. If you love fielding rotations and just simulations and rehearsed plays, and it looked like everybody on Nepal knew what they were doing, and they were prepared for that situation.
And you talked about it, the Karan KC throw. That was probably the most unsung part about the whole situation. Was he didn't try to force it in, direct it, just lobbed it up, and just made it really easy for whoever was going to be there, whether it was Dipendra Singh Airi, whether it was Adil Alam, and he was able to get back. Whoever's going to get there, they'd have an easy time collecting it and taking off the bails. And again, it was just perfect execution from a side that we saw, again, a lot, like you said, a lot of sloppy execution. Talk about the overthrow just a couple of deliveries earlier, over before, right? So they had sloppy fielding all day long, but when it mattered the most, they went back to the discipline stuff, and they focused, and they executed on exactly what needed to be done, and they gained themselves a point.
16 for none after 3 overs. And quickly we'll get the Oman squad on screen for you. As Nestor Damba comes into the 11 today for Oman. Suraj Kumar continues to keep wicket instead of Nasim Kushi, who started this series behind the stumps. As again, Stevenson short on the body. This one's going to be well wide of Nisarg Patel on the final leg rope for 4. Now, you talked about that overthrow. It was an overthrow. There should have been a second run there. And Aaron Jones and Rahul Jarawala settled for 1. Down the stretch, 6 wickets in hand for USA. Over the course of the final 4 overs, they scored nothing but singles. They never attempted a 2. I can understand if there's 3 wickets left, 2 wickets left. But with 6 wickets in hand, that overthrow that should have been a second run, they didn't go for it. And they never really tried to attempt any 2s. It was very conservative running in a situation where you have so many wickets in hand. You have Nisarg Patel. You have Cameron Stevenson in reserve. You've got Rusty Theron. You've even got Yasir Muhammad, who we still haven't seen bat for USA, who can hit the ball cleanly. And if there's one thing I would be critical of, specifically between Jarawala and Jones, it was the overly conservative running, especially when you consider Aaron Jones is the fastest runner in the team. And that overthrow, the door that opened up there just an over or 2 earlier before the final over, they had a chance to take a second run and stood still in a situation where, again, they never tried to take a second run at any point during that final stretch when you had the wickets in hand to be as aggressive as you wanted, and that was, to me, the most disappointing thing. I don't fault them for not trying to hit boundaries, because you only needed singles and 2s. They needed less than a run of ball, but they never tried to put pressure on the field. And that lack of aggressive running or even trying to force it to when you've got so many wickets in reserve in that situation, again, it was indicative to me the lack of match awareness that USA had in that situation that let them down.
And sometimes the pressure will do that to you. And to your point, there could have been some 2s they left on the table. But I just felt they didn't need to take as many risks. They just felt, okay, we can just keep it going, and if we just hold our wickets down, we're going to cruise over the line. I think that was really the disappointing part. I thought that the USA side really thought they had it won, and I think that's why they're so disappointed. They, again, when we see in the running approach, they just wanted to take ones. There were a couple of times where the striker would come back and want to take the two. Aaron Jones a couple of times took off, and Rahul Jariwala sent him back, and same from the other side. And again, I just think it comes down to, okay, let's just hold on. Let's just keep going. Let's not try to introduce someone else and soak up top balls. Just a give and take. That's really interesting.
This one shipped straight to Yasser Muhammad, and there's a misfield by number 88, who just had to collect his floppy hat moments ago. The wind blew it straight off his head, and you can hear the wind blowing through your effects mic on the field. It is gusting around 20 to 25 miles an hour easily here at Musa Stadium, blowing out to the east side of the ground, which is to the offside from where the right-handers are batting from it. With Cameron Stevenson charging in from the Pearland end.
Cameron Stevenson starting to find a better length now. He got too short, too full in the previous over. Started this over well too short. Finally started to find that good length, getting back into some match rhythm now.
21 for none after 4. Jatinder Singh is watchful so far, and with the wind blowing out, very stiff gusts going out to the east to the leg side. We saw him play the slog sweep to Saurabh Netravalkar for 6 to that side of the ground, and we also saw him get out in ugly fashion to that shot against Nepal. You think we might see him try to unleash it again here against Netravalkar?
Well, I sure hope not.
And he doesn't need to, as just a gentle flick beats Yasser Muhammad on the ring at mid-on. Goes to the boundary for Jatinder Singh's second 4.
And these are the shots you want to see Jatinder Singh play. He's a very quality bat. Again, with the straight bat, just worked it through the leg side and beat the man at mid-on and Yasser Muhammad. Again, there are runs to be had on this wicket. You don't have to create the shot. The shots are going to be there for you to play. Play through the line.
Oh, there's no protection on the leg side boundary in front of square. You've got Sushant Madani in the ring at mid-wicket, Yasser Muhammad at mid-on, and a very wide, deep, fine leg. So Saurabh Netravalkar's got to keep it very tight on or outside off stump, or else I think Jatinder Singh is crazy enough to try that slog sweep against Netravalkar, because all he has to do is get it up just a teeny bit into the air, and that ball is going to go way out onto Heritage Road, which is the side road just off McKinney Road. It goes north-south here along the east boundary.
And if you're the USA, you want Jatinder Singh to play that shot. That's the riskiest shot, and if it hits you, fine, but the wickets will open up.
Runs this straight to Taylor at gully. Yeah, Heritage Road, it is just a span of maybe 100 yards or so. It's long enough to have a name, though.
That's all that matters, Peter. As long as
yeah.
it's got a name.
You get some new land and new properties that open up. You need new names. So whoever Heritage is, that road has been named after. You come off Masters Road when you make the immediate turn onto McKeever Road if you're coming from the 288, State Route 288 side of the west side of Pearland. And if you come from the opposite side on the east side of McKeever Road, Driving along here. You come off Route 143, Pearland Sites Road, and State Route 35 to the east. That's the major thoroughfare. That'll get you to Musa Stadium. And it's not a slog sweep, but it's a top edge. Cameron Stevenson is under it at deep fine leg, and he puts it down. Check that. Rusty Tehran is the man out there. Rusty spills this, and it goes over the rope. He's dealing with an incredibly harsh wind out there and battling with the gusts to try and get under it properly. Rusty shells Jatinder Singh on 15 and ends the over with a boundary 29 for none after 5.
We talked about it. If Jatinder Singh is going to play these crossbat shots, the wickets will open up. This time a top edge as he just tried to pull it through mid-wicket. Rusty Tehran, he was settling underneath it. It was in the air for a very long time. Just take another look. Again, Jatinder Singh goes crossbat, complete top edge. It's in the air for a very, very long time, just swirling on Rusty Tehran a bit. For him, he's going to say it's very regulation. Spills it, and it goes over the rope for 4.
We'll try and get a look at that replay in between balls again here as Stevenson charges in. We're back to live play. Prajapati gets this through Stephen Taylor at square leg. He got a lot of it to slow it down, so it won't be 4 as Nisarg tracks it down and relays it. Stephen Taylor saving 2 runs there as they settle for a very long 2.
Cam Stevenson just getting a little bit attached to the short ball. Can find the length. That's where we've seen a lot of success.
Just going to try and get another look at the replay of that drop chance by Rusty Tehran at deep backward square. And I'm curious what you think of his lower body positioning here, because it just seems like he's off balance, not really settled, and the lower body affects his ability to catch the ball.
Yeah, and you can see he settled right there, and I think it just swirled on him a little bit, so he just tried to adjust. Never easy when you're falling down to take that catch. And as you said, it's not the optimal catching position. I think he settled underneath it, started to swirl, and ultimately led to the spill.
And this time a single takes on Kenjige, gets it well wide of him. You can see, though, he came in off the rope, so he comes forward. And then at the very last moment, the wind keeps carrying the ball, and he's got to take 1 or 2 steps back. So after initially coming forward, all of a sudden the wind is blowing it so hard that he's got to reposition his body from going forward to coming back. He just wasn't settled, and that shows the impact of the wind, and it's something to keep an eye on over the course of the entire day here if it continues gusting at the pace that it is at the moment. Full and straight. Here it is again. So he comes forward, top edge. Rusty Tehran comes forward. You'll see him come forward, but then he's got a backpedal at the end.
And again, right there, it just started to move a little bit on him, and that's what causes the drop. Again, you want to settle, you want to be very stable. Just let the ball come to you. When you're moving whilst the ball's coming, it's very, very hard to keep it in your hands.
Meanwhile, I know somebody out there is going to be cracking jokes at me, Aman, because I identified him as Cameron Stevenson. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Heads or tails. Picked the wrong one.
Pick tails, man. You got to pick heads. Got to go for heads.
easy single milked by Jatinder to keep the strike heading into the 7th over after 6. 33 for none after 6. Now, some other historical things to note, I think might be of interest to some fans after yesterday's 41st tie in men's ODI history. Again, we had another one, the most recent one in history. The 40th was also an ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. That was again between Oman, the UAE, and the Oman Cricket Academy back in February. That was just before the ICC T20 World Cup qualifier that was held out there. First tied ODI, Australia and the West Indies back in 1984 at the MCG. You go through the years, and in the associate sphere, there's been some incredible moments in tied matches in associate history. The first, Andrew Leonard, I'm sure, will be the first one to point out. 2007, the World Cup. Andrew is again taking a rest day here in Texas. We hope to have him back before the end of the series. But Andrew Leonard at Cricket Badge would be the first one to bring up that Ireland and Zimbabwe at Sabina Park. Everybody remembers Ireland beating Pakistan, but the other part of group play that helped vault them into the Super 8s, St. Patrick's Day win over Pakistan, is the most famous day, arguably, in that 2007 World Cup, one of the most famous days in Irish cricket history. But 2 days earlier against Zimbabwe, tied match, dot ball off the last ball, Niall O'Brien whipping the bails off, Kevin O'Brien at the death in the final overs, bowled incredibly, as well as Andre Botha and Andrew White. There were some incredible overs bowled there at the death, and it was Andrew White who on the final ball of the match delivered it to Niall O'Brien, and Ed Rainsford and Stuart Matsukinyeri couldn't get a run off the final ball. That ensured the tie against Zimbabwe in almost similar circumstances to what we saw yesterday here. That was a match Zimbabwe had well in hand with 6.5 overs to go. Zimbabwe needed 19 runs off of 39 deliveries. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Now, people talk about USA. The general sentiment outside the ground yesterday was USA blew the match yesterday. They needed less than a run of ball with 6 wickets in hand. Zimbabwe had 5 wickets in hand. They were 203 for 5. They needed 19 off of 39 balls left, And somehow Ireland fought back in that game to produce a tie. And then 2 days later, it was the win over Pakistan that vaulted them into the next stage of the tournament. And then the rest is history for Irish cricket. That was the first tied match involving an associate cricket team. Ireland against Zimbabwe at that 2007 World Cup in Jamaica. As Rusty Turan now comes into the attack after a maiden from Saurabh Netravalkar. So Rusty replaces Cam Stevenson at the Pearland end. And continues the dot ball streak for USA in the field. And then you go a little bit further. A tie in different circumstances for Ireland. A couple years later against Pakistan in what was a thrilling chase. Kevin O'Brien was on strike for the final ball in Dublin. And in a Duckworth-Lewis chase, 47-over match, they needed 5 to win off the final ball. And Kevin O'Brien hits a boundary off the final ball. It was a ball that was going well down the leg side. And if he let it go, it might have gone for 5 wides, and they would have won with a ball to spare. Instead, he tried to hit it, gets bat on it, goes for 4 to the boundary. And the match ends as a tie when they came so close to beating Pakistan, falling just 1 run short. They end on 275 for 5 on that occasion. Paul Sterling with a century. Kevin O'Brien, 84 not out off 47 balls. Remember that 50-ball 100 in the World Cup? That was another one of his incredible knocks. 84 off 47 unbeaten, but that tie felt like a loss for Ireland, whereas the tie against Zimbabwe felt like a win. And there's a couple other matches involving associates. Scotland and Zimbabwe at the 2018 World Cup qualifier. As Jatinder flat bats this one wide of mid-on for 4.
Yeah, just waiting for Rusty Turan to get just a touch short. Rusty starts the over very, very well. He was just giving him on a length. This time, Jatinder Singh, if he sees his opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. And USA won't mind that shot. Again, we saw him try to pull Saurabh Netravalkar just a little bit ago. As we see the young fan go out, as the ball cuts through the fence, gets an opportunity to throw back in. And Jatinder Singh going to play his shots, and you won't mind that if you're the USA. You saw the top edge just moments earlier.
And then the other tie, Netherlands and Ireland in 2013. All these matches that Ireland tied were when they were still considered an associate country, as you see again this replay.
Yeah, this time well in control of it, rolled the wrist over the shot.
And this time, this is that hard running that you'll see earlier. Then you will see it much later in the day as the day wears on. See fewer twos run at the 5, 6, 7, 8 hour mark of today, but we're still just 35 minutes into play on what's going to be a 99-degree Fahrenheit day with it, humidity at 55% today. It's going to feel like 110, 111 degrees Fahrenheit, which should be well over 40 degrees Celsius. And another single, clipped off through the leg side. So, do you have a favorite, Haman, in all those games? Is there anyone that sticks out in your memory as being especially remarkable in terms of a tied match, whether in cricket in general or as an associate country playing in a tied game?
Well, I mean, you talked about the Ireland and Zimbabwe match. And if you're a Zimbabwe fan, there's no way that match should have been tied. You needed well less than a run every 2 deliveries, let alone every delivery. And you somehow come up with a tie in that match. That's one that's going to stick out.
Dot ball to finish the over. He runs from it 41 for none after 8.
And again, Rusty Turan came in because the fact that he has been hitting the length pretty well for the States all year long. So I think that's why you see him being brought on for Cam Stevenson, who's just getting a touch short well too often.
And I wonder if Andrew Leonard is watching, if he messages in. I wonder where Lenny was during that Ireland-Zimbabwe tied match at the 2007 World Cup.
Where he was somewhere celebrating, that's for sure.
I'm sure he'll let us know. He might have been in Chicago at that point in time. So Lenny spent a number of years in Chicago working out there. And he's somebody who grew up playing with Kevin O'Brien. So I'm sure when he saw Kev bowling those two crucial overs down the stretch in that match, when he was cheering hard wherever he was. And this one knocked down in the covers by Aaron Jones, who somehow was able to keep his sunglasses from falling on the ground.
Yeah, another tie, as you mentioned, sticks out India versus England. That tie kept both teams in the 2011 World Cup. Of course, India would, of course, go on to win that World Cup. Peter, as we were talking about the ties, and speaking of Andrew Leonard, we saw Yasir Mohammed leave the field of play as Sai Teja Mukamala comes in as a substitute fielder for the over.
Tied match of the World Cup, the 2011 World Cup. I haven't pulled up the scorecard, but just off memory, I believe Andrew Strauss and Sachin Tendulkar scored centuries in that game.
Let's see if you have one of the best memories in all of world cricket or not, Peter.
120 for Sachin off 115 balls, but it was Andrew Strauss who was named player of the match. 158 off 145 before he was dismissed in the 43rd over. 338, played 338 that day. It was 274, played 274 here at Musa Stadium in Pearland yesterday. India features a number of times throughout the list, as does South Africa and Australia and the West Indies. So there's Jalaluddin, took an ODI hat trick in his international career for Pakistan. Jalal is on the left, next to Saki Muhammad, the founder and owner of this wonderful Musa Stadium facility. And Jalal is celebrating his 63rd birthday today. Happy birthday, Jalaluddin. Sitting in the chair there is Saki Muhammad getting out of his chair and wandering over to the edge of the boundary to have a word with Ali Khan. Ali Khan resting from the 11 today. There's Ali with a towel over his head, just trying to stay cool. But Jalal, never short of reminding everybody that he took that ODI hat trick way back when.
Hey, if we had taken it, we would not let anybody forget it either. Speaking of ties, Peter, I was looking through the list, and there was a tie game that was put down as a tie. New Zealand versus England, ODI World Cup 2019. So I know that was a match that gets a lot of controversy for how that result played out, but listed as a tie in the lore of ODI cricket history.
Sure didn't feel like it tied to New Zealand, I know that much. So 4 dots to end the over. 42 for none after 9. Yeah, Jalal Uddin, 1982, first hat trick in ODI cricket. Got Rod Marsh, Bruce Yardley, and Jeff Lawson for his 3 wickets to become the first man to have a hat trick in ODIs back in 1982. Turned 63 today. Happy birthday, Jalal. He's based here in the Houston area now. Does a lot of work with youth cricket. There he is waving on screen. Where were you during that 2019 World Cup final, Aman?
I wasn't even close to being a thought, Peter. That's where I was. 19. Say that year again for me.
2019 England New Zealand World Cup final.
Oh, that World Cup final. I thought you were talking about Jalaluddin's.
No. No, not Jalaluddin. No, England, then Stokes.
Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes, World Cup final. Where were you?
Ben Stokes World Cup final. I was just getting back in the States. I was actually in India for most of June. Got back the week before the World Cup final. I was in Greenville, North Carolina, where I was born, when we saw the madness unfold at Lord's.
I was watching on Willow TV from Toronto, specifically King City. I was doing the broadcast for IMG and Crit Clubs up north. That was the same day. I remember that day more for being the day that USA and Canada took on each other in the Under-19 World Cup qualifier for a spot in the Under-19 World Cup in 2019. That's how I remember the day. I didn't really get to watch much of the match at all. Literally the only part of the match I saw was the final over and the super over, because I was on the commentary call for USA Under-19 versus Canada Under-19, and Rahul Jarawala and Saimu Kamal were both there on that day. And that right there is Sylvan Taylor. That's Stephen Taylor's father on the screen. He was here yesterday to see Stephen score his maiden ODI century, his third century in limited overs cricket for USA overall. He's got another 2 centuries in T20 cricket, Stephen Taylor, so he's got 5 at senior level. Yesterday was his first in what is recognized as ODI cricket as Kashyap Prajapati. Again, showing what a true wicket this is. Goes for 4. Monak Patel at the coin toss. You should have seen the look on his face, Aman, when the coin landed on heads. He just rolled his eyes back because he knew Zishan Maksud was going to bat first, and it was going to be a long 3.5 hours for USA.
And definitely with shots like this from Prajapati, it's going to be a very long day for the USA. Again, coming off a grueling day yesterday, back-to-back, having a field first. Not going to be fun with the heat index, with the raw heat, and then having to go back in and bat. It's going to be a battle of mental strength here for the United States. Can they last all 100 overs of the day?
And you heard Monak Patel at the toss. If everybody tuned in for the start of play, I asked him, what would you have done if you had won the toss? He says, well, the first part is I have to win a toss first. He hasn't had any luck with the coins, the way they've landed in recent times, and the choice has been taken out of his hands. Nepal won the toss yesterday, batted. As he said, USA was absolutely desperate to win the toss and bat first today. Not so much because it's a good batting wicket, but because of the fact that they spent 3 hours suffering in the field before they had to bat yesterday. And after the way things unfolded at the end, I think just from a physical standpoint, all their fielders could have used the extra 3.5, 4 hours just with their feet up, not having to run around in the field. And instead, they're straight back out there this morning, having to toil in temperatures pushing 100 degrees Fahrenheit. As with the USA red, white, and blue floppy hat on today, that's Yasser Muhammad's father, Nadeem. And then in the pink shirt with the long lens camera on the right, that's Adil Khan. That's Yasser Muhammad's cousin. So Yasser again with some family support today. And how good does that blue floppy hat look on Nadeem?
I told you, Pete, earlier in the week, I need to get my hands on one of those. You know, I don't have a big floppy hat collection. I need to catch up to Mr. PDP over here. But I absolutely got to get myself a floppy hat. A USA Cricket floppy hat would be a great way to start my collection. So we see an extended break here. Again, some water being dealt out. It's like the physio is out as well. Just checking on Jatinder Singh.
Sean Novak is part of the backroom staff with the white shirt on, giving some treatment to Jatinder. And while there's this delay, he's working on his left shoulder, it looks like. USA subs have run out some drinks. They'll take any opportunity they can get to get some water out there, stay hydrated. Yesterday was the hottest day of this series so far, and today, replaces that. It's going to be even hotter for this 10th ODI out of the 12 that USA is hosting at Musa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. I'm Peter Del Pena, alongside Aman Patel, bringing you live commentary on ICC TV around the world, Fan Code in the Asian subcontinent, and Willow TV in North America for this ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 ODI Tri-Series. It is supported by Dream11, SkyExchange.net, partner here for this series in Texas. And a single by Jatinder completes the 10th over. So at the end of the power play, Oman could have been one down. Rusty Tehran spills a chance in the 5th over when Jatinder Singh was on 15. He's now doubled that, moved to 30. It is 49 for none after 10.
It's been a good power play for Oman outside the one chance, but they've put their heads down. They've been much more positive today to get off to a good start.
Nisarg Patel comes on at the end of the power play. First over spin for USA. And they can push two fielders back. And they do so. They've got a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket. Long off in place. And a cover sweeper. Yasser Muhammad is in the ring at mid-on with the wind blowing out to the east side of the ground, to the leg side. And a full toss swept out to Tehran. Deep backward square. He'll keep it to just one.
We've seen the spinners tighten screws previously, but yesterday, the batsmen were positive against the spinners and were able to take, get the 5-6 runs and over compared to just the 3 or 2 runs that we've seen throughout both series. It's been a good adjustment. We'll see if Nisar can get any luck here.
Just mixing up his flight a little bit.
I think that's the key on this type of a wicket where you're not going to get much turn. You got to make the batsman think while it's in the air. Slow it down, speed it up at times.
Using his feet now, but Sarg just drags the length back a touch to counter it. And he just prods it to Jones in the covers.
Again, this is the kind of bowling you need out of your spinner. Again, not much turn on offer. You're going to see Prajapati to use his feet, stay back. Got to change things up.
Sharp over from Nisarg Patel. First up, he made the first breakthrough yesterday for USA, getting Kushal Bertel out, missing a reverse sweep. And here he starts off with just 1 run conceded. The 50 is up, though, for Oman after 11 overs. And you can see the partnership in progress between the opening pair.
Yeah, it's been a good stand from the two of them, from 66 deliveries, 50 runs on the board. Again, they've had just the one chance. Everything else, they've been in control. They haven't looked to overhit the ball. They haven't tried to do too much. They've just run things down to 1. They've pushed it in the gaps. They've understood that they need to get off to a good start in the power play. Don't want to lose wickets and carry on from here.
Tehran has the field set to bowl short, but he's got to adjust the line a little bit if he's going to try and bring Cameron Stevenson into play. at a deep mid wicket. It was a little bit too wide, and it means Jatinder drags it in front of square for a boundary.
Yeah, you're going to take a look, try to go short. It was outside the off stump. He just loves the pull shot, Jatinder Singh. Able to move it in front of Cam Stevenson. Had to come a long ways away from it. Again, we've seen bowlers time and time again get fascinated with the short ball and haven't had a lot of success bowling it. You're much better off bowling on the length and letting them try to drive.
If you're going to bowl with this field mid on and mid off up, and you're going to go with a short ball, he's got to get it up much straighter. Now he's on a fifth stump line, you're going to pull it in front of square far too easily. If he's going to bring Stevenson into play, he's got to get it on the stumps, on the body, leg stump. So if he does play that pull, it's just going to keep it to one. Cover sweeper in place, deep third man, deep final leg, and Stevenson out at deep mid wicket on that previous ball.
And again, that delivery this time angled in, as you mentioned, but it was on a length, not really a pullable length there. You have to force him to play with the straight bat, have to dare him to try to do something different. Again, the wicket is not going to give you much help. The ball is going to come true, bounces true on the wicket. You got to do something.
Bit fuller on the stumps, though, so no room to go over the top. Yasser Muhammad is at mid-off, and again, his hat flies off. You're going to see that probably throughout the day. It is that windy here today. I don't think the players will mind that, though. It helps make it a little bit more comfortable in the heat when you get that nice gust of wind blowing across the ground.
Just tame things down also means the wind is blowing in the favor of driving delivery in that direction. You have some wind behind you if you want to go over the top of the infield straight back.
Yeah, the wind blowing northeast, so Tehran just running into the wind a little bit, and it's blowing to the offside for the right-handers. Wind blowing out towards Heritage Road. There's Yasser Muhammad in the floppy hat. Time, just a typical one-day shot. Opening the face to steer this down to deep third man, where Nechavalkar does the fielding.
Like we said, they haven't allowed dots to pile up that often, and whenever they feel pressure building, they just release it. Oman has today. They've just looked to push in gaps, haven't looked to do too much. And that's the kind of batting you want, because you can, again, in this heat, you can expect a couple of deliveries to be loose as you get further and further along in your innings.
Rajapati just taps this to Gajanan at mid-on. So 5 runs from the over, 55 for none after 12. As far as we know, there will be 3 drinks breaks again today, just like there was yesterday. We're just on the border of where that first drinks break interval would be, but the umpires are going to say we'll play one more over. Again, it's incredibly hot and humid here at Musa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. The umpires and match referee Rihanna King yesterday agreed to have a 3rd scheduled drinks break.
Again, everyone's going to need it. It's so hot. We saw Stephen Taylor time and time again yesterday really struggle as they got further and further down in that second innings. Again, like Peter said, hotter today than it was yesterday.
Good running here. Just tip and run into the offside from Jatinder.
Again, if you're Oman, this is kind of what you want to do. Just find a way to keep the strike moving, keep it rotating. Don't let the spinner get too comfortable. Don't just soak up dot balls and let the game idly pass you by. Sarg has been very smart, changing things up time and time again, not bowling to the same deliveries, making the batsman think as the ball's in the air every single time, just keeping them on their toes.
Inside edge, clear deflection there. As Nisarg abandons the LBW shot. First time we've tried to see Jatinder try and play that paddle shot. There's a deep backward square, but final leg is wide open. The wind going that way, so you can see why he's trying that. And this one is driven to Netravalkar, long off for one.
Yeah, and with that shot there, again, he was outside the line of stumps, so even if there was no inside edge, it wouldn't have been deemed a wicket either. And you can see Nisarg forcing the batsman to try something different.
Using his feet, but picks out Taylor on the ring. 3 runs in the over. It's going to spark the drinks break. 58 for none after 13. The first drinks break called. We're going to have 3 scheduled drinks breaks here at Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. And it'll give us the time to just do a quick highlights package for the power play. Here's a recap of the opening sequence of play.
Again, some lovely strokes from the 2 openers. This one just guiding it behind point. Cam Stevenson just being a little loose early. This time too full, too easy. Wonderful drive, elegant looking shot. Again, Cam Stevenson spraying in a pull shot. The fielder well behind square there. Again, just a subtle tickle. They've played very, very smart. Using the straight bat, not trying to do too much. Just working the ball into the gaps. It's been a good adjustment here from Oman. They've seen how the games play. This was the moment, though. It was chipped up in the air. Rasi Theran was underneath it. As Peter said, had to take a couple steps back. And that's ultimately caused the drop, and it leads to 4 runs. The wind just swirled the ball in the air. And how big of a chance is that going to be? Because this time it was more controlled from Jatinder Singh. Able to push that one in front of square, away from any of the fielders. And so powerfully went through the fence. Again, he's just been a masterclass so far. Apart from the one top edge, they've just been working it around through the gaps. With a straight bat, taking advantage of the loose balls and putting them away for boundaries. Good first session here for Oman.
So no wickets, down 58 for none on the board. We'll take a short break and we'll rejoin play shortly here at Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. You're watching live coverage of the SkyExchange.net ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 ODI Tri-Series supported by Dream11. Welcome back after the drinks break. Peter Del Pena alongside Aman Patel. Where Oman 58 for none after 13 overs, choosing to bat first after the toss. Spin now on from both ends for USA. Yasser Muhammad will come into the attack. The leg spinner, teenager from New Jersey. The young fox from Old Bridge. His dad and his cousin in the King stand watching today.
Yeah, did not have the greatest of spells yesterday. Was just too short, too full, just very wavered. Can he find a length today? When he's on a length, it's very difficult to play, and he picks up wickets.
He bowled much better against Oman in his first match on debut on Wednesday. 2 for 50 in that. Yesterday, 1 for 42, but those figures a little bit deceptive. As you said, he didn't bowl nearly as well yesterday as he did, particularly in that second spell on debut. In his first spell on debut, he was bowling too short, but he corrected his length, and that's where he got the wickets. Got Shoaib Khan and Ayan Khan out for 59, and then that opened the door for Ali Khan to get his 5-wicket haul.
And again, I think for Yasser Muhammad, it's that length, or you're just getting the batsman to reach out. Very different from the T20 game, where you're just trying to avoid getting hit for boundaries. And the ODI game, a lot more time. You got to force the batsman to do something different.
This one, googly, just spinning into the legs. On the western balcony today, because we don't have Ali Khan in the starting 11, Amar Moturu, big-time fan here in the Houston area. He's kept the Ali Khan Hamari Shan sign in his car. He's only unfurled the other sign that he's got in his bag is a very delicate paddle sweep through fine leg from Jatinder. Goes to the boundary for 4. Very crafty shot here from the long-time Omani opener.
He's going to play it if he gets the opportunity to do so. Again, started well down the leg stump. Wasn't necessarily short, just a touch back of where he would wanted it to be. And again, just that nice little paddle that Jatinder Singh is famous for. Delicately worked for 4 runs.
And he overcompensates now from going too short. He floats up a full toss, and Jatinder heaves it through wide, long on, back-to-back boundaries.
And it's reminiscent of his spell yesterday, Peter. Gets too short, tried to overcompensate, went well too full. And Jatinder Singh says, thank you so much. I get a full toss. Don't have to worry about if it's a googly or not. I can send it over the rope for 4. Again, Yasser, he's been so effective when he's found the length. He's just struggling to do so.
Amara Mataro, he's banging the dole. You can hear the dole in the background. He's trying to get the USA guys some support in the field. That's Amara Mataro. You can hear him banging the dole. As again, we see the replay, the second of those boundaries, just a juicy full toss. Amar, he's kept the Ali Khan Hamari Shan sign in the bag, but he's unfurled the Chakde America Zindabad sign. So whether he's got the posters out or the dole out, he's making his presence known. There it is, Chakde America Zindabad. And again, Aman, for the people at home who aren't up to snuff on their Hindi and their Urdu, what is the translation on that?
Well, it's long live. Let's go India. Let's go America up top. I'm so used to Chuck the India. Let's go America up top and long live America on the bottom.
Yep, the chants, as you indicated, derived the Chak de India chant and the Pakistan Zindabad. That's where the chants come from if you follow either team. And Amar has molded the two together to reflect the shared heritage and culture throughout the USA national team.
And if you're Yasser Muhammad, you got to take a look at what Nisar Patel is doing in terms of the lengths. Again, he mixes it up well, but you can see oftentimes it's just that length where the batsman has to reach forward a little bit. That's the length you're looking for.
speeds it up a little bit, and Kenjige, excellent work. At backward point to deny a single.
And that's what Nash Kenjige brings. Again, if it's not with the ball, it's not with the bat, it's in the field. One of the fittest players out there for the United States, and arguably their best fielder. Just very active.
And just a easy steer. Too much width on that occasion. Kenjige chases it down, and he'll save 1 run.
Yeah, that time just went a little too short, and Nisarg Patel was quick. All Prajapati had to do was just get a little bit of bat on it.
Tinder not going to chase that half century. He'll stay patient. Just block that one out. So he'll start the next over off strike on 48. 73 for none after 15. Hear faintly Sarvan Travolker as Yasir Muhammad was about to deliver that ball. You can hear him say, "Backing you, buddy, backing you, buddy." Sarvan Travolker tries to be positive as much as he can. And we could get a shot on the boundary, the west boundary, in between deliveries. Looks like Cameron Stevenson is signing cricket ball. USA players trying to take care of the fans who've come out here to Musa Stadium. It was Amar Motoro, I believe, who left his perch, left his dole temporarily to come down and see if he could get a cricket ball signed by Cameron Stevenson out in the cover boundary on the west side.
Much better over so far for Yasir Muhammad.
A lot of fans came out yesterday, not as many today, with Nepal not in the house. But yeah, Cameron Stevenson just having a chat with some of the fans out there on the west boundary. I want to say that's Kartik Datta. Has been a regular here. And this is a regular paddle sweep from Jatinder Singh. It's one of his go-to shots. And he uses it effectively to bring up another half century. And there comes the Kabaddi thigh slap. Everybody knows it when Shikhar Dhawan unfurls it when he gets to a landmark, and Jatinder Singh with that Punjabi heritage paying homage to Shikhar Dhawan and to Kabaddi with that thigh slap. Another half century.
It's been really well played again. Just the one chance when he was on 15, but other than that, it's been a clean innings. Played to the merit of the ball. With the straight bat has taken advantage of some of the balls straying down the leg side or that were too short, too full. It's been a classy knock from Jatinder Singh.
6th ODI half century in the red uniform of Oman. 9th List A 50 playing for Oman. He's got 3 ODI centuries in addition to that. And he came into today with 1,008 runs in ODI cricket. So he passed the 1,000-run barrier in the first match against USA on Wednesday. And averages just over 30. He's been one of the most consistent players, been the spine of the batting lineup for Oman over the last decade. Came up through their under-19 program, which you don't often see in Oman. I think traditionally they're maybe at times unfairly stereotyped as a team that relies on expat players to come in from India or Pakistan, but Jatinder is one of the most valued assets that Oman has had, in particular because he came up through their under-19 program. He's been there, learned all of his cricket, developed all his cricket in Oman, and he's somebody who has served them proudly now for more than a decade.
Again, one of the just most stylish batsmen. So fun to watch him bat. Like you said, sixth ODI half century for Jatinder Singh. But I don't think his eye is particularly on just this 50 mark. I think he's looking at triple figures.
And Aaron Jones keeping him honest there.
That was really the first mix-up we've seen from Oman in terms of running between the wickets. They've been so fluid, so pure between the two. This time Jatinder Singh just got a little bit too eager to get down and off strike.
This one chipped wide. Jones, and it'll go out to Stevenson on the cover sweeper rope for one.
And it's just what Jatinder Singh has really learned to do here at Musa is just wait on it and play with the straight bats. Okay. Don't need to use the sweep shot every time. Haven't really seen a traditional sweep that he's pulled from outside the off stump. Again, just the one that was already full and down the leg stump from Nisarg Patel.
Easy as you like. Another single. 4-run over. 81 for none after 17.
And just stroking it through Oman. They're not trying to do too much at the moment. They're getting runs for it. With the wickets in hand, as you just keep looking further and further down this order, they're just keeping everybody back there where they can come in and really swing away. And for a USA side that's quite tired from yesterday, you're probably running on a half tank. It's a great way to gas them out before they have to come out to bat.
Yasser Mohammed begins his third over, milking a single is Kashyap Prajapati. Very full and jammed out this time by Jatinder.
Again, he's starting to get better and better here, Yasser Mohammed. Trying to find better lengths. Again, if you're going to go full, you want to go with a Yorker.
And that's not the Yorker. That's not full. That's a 4 over deep mid-wicket.
Well, the commentator's curse reigns supreme, and there was it. I was just talking about how it seemed like he kind of fixed it. We've talked about all series long. He has just that tendency to drag one short. Remember, just recently converted to leg spin, and this time gets caught dragging it down again and knew it straight away. 4 for Jatinder Singh.
And now it gives it some generous flight. Punch for a single. Much better delivery.
Again, just take another look at it. The complete drag down. Jatinder Singh able to get back very, very quickly. Get in position to pull that one away. No fielder out there.
Seven runs in the over. 88 for none after 18. Prajapati continues. And this This just underscores this partnership. How crucial it is to hold on to the chances when they come in the field, because they don't come very often on this wicket. Jatinder was dropped on 15. A deep fine leg. And now Rusty Turan is going to get another reminder of that, because it's Rusty who's got to fetch this one down over the rope at deep fine leg. Another 4 to Jatinder Singh.
We've talked about him. He's really changed his approach from the first 2 matches. He's played the sweep only when it's been full and down the leg side. And once again, Nisarg Patel, full, down the leg side. Very, very simple. And just, you saw the shoulders drop. Look at this. And as soon as it's hit Monik Patel, his shoulders down. The USA desperate for a wicket, desperate to break this partnership.
Again, the wind blowing to that side, so it's about controlling the revs, controlling the ball and the conditions. The wind blowing to the northeast today, so it's drifting into the pads with the wind from the Massey Ranch end that Nisarg Patel is bowling from. This one outside off is pushed into the covers for 1.
Again, the use of the feet, just maneuvering it around the fielders, manipulating the field. Very, very good, these 2. It's a great opening stand. You need one to bat deep. These 2 have taken the responsibilities upon themselves.
Six runs in the over, 94 for none after 19. Change in the attack after 3 ineffective overs from teenage leg spinner Yasser Muhammad. Nash Kenjigate comes into the attack. He sat out yesterday's game with a slight back issue, but he's healthy for today. Darts this one in flat and full, and immediately you see a change in terms of the angle of attack, the pace of attack. Nash getting it flat and full. And again, just to dry up the scoring.
Again, they got to find a way to build some pressure. Nash, he's been brought back into the side. If he can get a wicket straight up, it'd be huge for the USA.
Five dot balls in a row going back to the previous over. So just the slightest bit of pressure USA trying to generate here.
They had to find a way to break this partnership. They just can't let the game go idly by. They're running half tank. They've got to find a way to put some energy back into the field.
And finally, he squirts it through the offside to break a 6 dot ball streak. Deep mid wicket, long on, long off, cover sweeper in place. Final leg and third man up in the ring for Kenjigate. He's moving Yasser Muhammad just a little bit wider at backward point now for this final delivery. And a very tidy first over, just 1 run conceded by Kenjigate. 95 for none after 20. And we're going to get a double switch here. Stephen Taylor is going to replace Nisarg Patel from the Massey Ranch end.
Again, Stephen Taylor has just been so effective for the USA. Can come in and take wickets. We saw yesterday score his first ODI century, first American to do so. And you can hear some of the USA fans trying to get the team back in. They know they need a breakthrough. Can Stephen Taylor deliver? He's always so good. Can he be extra special today?
Too short. Pulled with protection on the leg side. Rusty Tehran. He's got 3 leg side boundary riders. Deep square. Or Tehran just collected that. Sushant Madani at deep mid wicket. Yasser Muhammad at long on. And he's got Nisarg Patel at long off. No cover sweeper at the moment. So he's got to keep it very straight. And in fact, they do make a change for this next delivery. As Stevenson is sent out to sweep on the cover boundary. And Tehran is brought in from deep square leg.
Fuller, Stephen Taylor. And you can see that time he changed the pace. It still wasn't necessarily full, definitely fuller than the last one. But just changed the pace and rushed by the outside edge.
Now, Stephen Taylor yesterday becoming USA's all-time leading scorer. And that's what happens. 2 full. Rusty Tehran was pulled in from the deep square leg boundary. Taylor just over pitching it, straying on the legs, and Prajapati seizes on that gap and immediately forces a change in the field again as Prajapati gets set to the boundary to bring up the Oman 100 here in the 21st over.
It's been a really good 100 for Oman. Again, just the one chance, and they've just played so well with a straight bat. They've gone back to the drawing board. They looked at the way they approached their innings, and it's just been flawless from these two. 100 for Oman. And again, the USA got to break this 100 partnership stand.
And Prajapati again fails to run that shot past Monarch Patel. So 5 runs in the over. 100 up for Oman. And in case the score bug in the bottom left isn't enough of an eyeful for you, we'll give you the partnership graphic.
There we go, 100 between the two of them. Jatinder Singh, 65. Prajapati, 34. And again, both have just played so purely. Haven't given many chances. Just the one you really think of from Jatinder Singh. Other than that, played with a straight bat, didn't try to force anything, working it into the gaps. Again, it looks like it's going to be a long day for the USA if they can't find a wicket in the next couple overs.
Kenji was darting it in very quick. Last over starts off this occasion, just giving it a little bit more air.
Changing it up a lot like Nisarg Patel. A lot of variations. Not going to give you two of the same deliveries back to back.
You can hear the voices starting to come alive for USA in the field. They sense Kenjige might be the guy to deliver that first breakthrough. And it's leading to some indecision now with this pressure building. Clear single on offer. But combination of Jones and Muhammad create doubt in the minds of Jatinder and Prajapati.
Again, this is what they needed. Finding a way to get dot balls. Find a way to make them do something.
Forces him to use his feet. And he releases the pressure with a single out to Madani on the cover boundary.
Again, this is what Oman's done really well here today. They haven't just sat and just take the ball in spades. They've come down the track. They've done things with their feet. They've manipulated the field. Again, some more indecision. Pressure from Nash.
Back-to-back single run overs delivered by Kenjige. 101 for none after 22. We said Stephen Taylor earlier in this tour became USA's most capped player in limited overs cricket. As you see, Amar Motoro, Adoli. He's got the drum out there in the West Gallery view. Became USA's all-time leading scorer yesterday, past Steve Messiah. He needed 108 runs to do so, got 114, and Stephen Taylor currently 5th all-time in the wickets list for USA as well. Comes into today with 65 wickets. Only Kenjige, Elmore Hutchinson, Timble Patel, and Saurabh Netravalkar are ahead of him. And again, we talked about this in one of the earlier broadcasts. Aman, what's so remarkable about that is that he spent the first 6 years of his career with USA as a wicketkeeper.
And just tells you the skills of Stephen Taylor. Again, this a true do-it-all cricketer. And you said just a couple broadcasts ago that if Stephen Taylor, say he were to have bowled the first half of his career, we'd talk about him as one of the best all-rounders, not just in U.S. cricket history, but in associate cricket history. Just shows you the talent and class of Stephen Taylor.
Again, just creating a little bit of pressure here. And I mentioned it too when he was at USA Under-19 level. He bowled medium pace. Truly a supreme athlete. Out of Miramar, Florida. In the Fort Lauderdale area, just north of Miami.
Again, he's a jack of all trades.
And just a fraction short, picking the length very early is Prajapati and punishes it with a boundary, beating Tehran on the rope at deep backward square.
Again, you just saw it here from Stephen Taylor. He's been firing them in quick. This time gets short. Prajapati gets on her knee. It was down the leg side, no risk of LBW, and works it through. Again, the bounce has been holding true. He got on top of it, along the ground the whole way. All of that pressure built up just to be released in the final delivery. Oman with another 4.
106 for none after 23. And talking to Jack, USA head coach Jay Arun Kumar before the start of the series, that was an area of focus. In the tour of Oman in September, USA was, quite frankly, awful at conceding a boundary off the final ball of an over. It's a big sticking point where you can maintain or lose momentum. And they did that quite badly in Oman in that tour last September where they faced off against Nepal and Oman. On this tour, they've done a much better job of that as a whole. You just see them falter there on that occasion. It's just a stat. And within the scorecards, within the overall context of the game, a lot of coaches, a lot of analysts will keep track of boundary off the last ball of an over as a point to focus on to see if the players are just losing their focus at the end of an over, or just go searching for wickets instead of just trying to keep building that pressure and maintain that pressure. So you see Rahul Jarawala on field now as a subfielder. He's not in the 11 today. Saw Saimo Kamala on earlier as well as a subfielder. Now Jarawala is there mid-wicket. And Jatinder tries to go over the top, slices this to Aaron Jones, and what a spectacular catch by Aaron Jones! Running back from the ring at cover, and we felt Nash Kenjige might make that first breakthrough. He built up the pressure, and pressure bursts pipe. Aman Patel are fond of saying, and right there, the pipe bursts in the form of the wicket of Jatinder Singh.
And that's why Nash Kenjige is in the 11, because of his ability to do things like this, create pressure. And Aaron Jones, what a catch this was. Again, never easy running back. He's running back. He's looking straight up. The sun is out in the direction he's running, so he gets to look up, and the sun is glaring. He's got sunglasses on. And again, just diving out. That's an unbelievable catch to hold on all the way through, and you saw him laying on the floor. His teammates coming over. Take a look at this. Again, it was darted in, came down the track, Jatinder Singh. He found an outside edge. Again, Aaron Jones, who's on the circle, running back, settling underneath it. Lets it stick in the hands, holds on the way down, and the breakthrough that was much needed for USA. You could see the life and the enjoyment on Aaron Jones' face. He knows how big that wicket is, bringing some new life back into the USA side. And Jatinder Singh walks, and the first wicket falls for Oman.
Not only did Aaron Jones love it, but how about Sushant Madani and Stephen Taylor and Yasser Muhammad? Jones with a superb effort. Jatinder was trying to clear, looked like mid-off or extra cover. Just came off a thick outside edge and popped in the air, but not just the catch by Jones, but in what's been a dark morning for USA under sunny skies. This was quite a sunny reaction by the teammates. How pumped are they?
Again, they needed something to go their way, and they finally got it. You can see Sushant Madani, Stephen Taylor, Yasir Muhammad with the quick flex. They're loving it. The vice captain laying it all out there and converting that first wicket opportunity.
Aaron Jones loves his Instagram. That's definitely going on the Aaron Jones Instagram story later tonight. As Prajapati is on strike now, crossing in the air, it means Shoaib Khan enters off strike. So Shoaib Khan, who was out for 59 in the previous meeting between these two sides on Wednesday, comes to the middle.
Yeah, he showed a lot of class in that innings. Played really, really well, and they're going to need him, going to want him to play another big one. Can build a partnership with Prajapati. I think Shoaib Khan kind of got a lot of pressure put on him in that first matchup between the two sides. No one really sticking with him. Besides, until Ayan Khan got in.
1 run in the over, and the wicket. Tag team effort between Kenjige and Aaron Jones. 107 for 1 after 24. Here it is, just moments ago again.
Big slice on that one. And again, just look at the effort there from Aaron Jones and the celebration. They love it. Great stuff there from the United States to get that first wicket. Can one bring two, though, for the United States with Stephen Taylor back into bowl?
Tehran worried about his fitness in the first back-to-back that USA played, and that's when he picked up a hamstring injury, but he looks like he's got enough energy out there today in the field. He's only bowled 3 overs so far, none for 20.
Again, he's just trying to make amends for that Jatinder Singh drop. Stephen Taylor, though, he's putting up with the pressure on. Can he get rewarded with the wicket?
Jarwala can't get to that one in the ring at extra cover, so it'll be a single to Nisarg then at long off.
And we'll see, again, the change, if there is a change in approach from Prajapati. Does he feel comfortable enough with Shoaib Khan's ability to rotate the strike? Is he going to try to be a little bit more aggressive? You think he's just going to continue to rotate. And it's a start like that that's going to give him confidence to do so.
Shoaib Khan off the mark. Big gap in the leg side between Saimul Kamala at short fine leg and Aaron Jones at mid-on. Looks like Saurabh Netravalkar is one of the fielders. Resting at the moment for USA. And Gajanan Singh, I believe, is the other who's currently off. Which is why Jarawala and Mukamala are on the field currently as substitutes for USA.
And like we said earlier, let the young kids run around for a little bit.
Easy single, 6 runs from the over, 113 for 1 after 25.
Oman quietly making really good innings here. Again, it hasn't been flamboyant or flashy. None of the big shots. They just put away balls that deserve to be put away. They've played to the merit. Again, they've built up a great start here. Halfway through the match at 113. We've seen teams been able to accelerate towards the back end of their innings. The USA, though, can they find a way to fight back? We saw yesterday versus Nepal. Nepal with 7 wickets in hand. Going into the last 7 overs. Ends up losing, was it 6 wickets, Peter?
7 for 21 was the collapse they had, as Kenjige with a rare loose delivery in this spell, but it's his day at the moment. They can't take advantage of it. Remarkably, Nepal yesterday, 129 for 2 after 25. So Oman just slightly behind the same scoring rate as Yasser Mohammed with a very sloppy misfield. He's usually quite sharp. And a rare fumble for him allows a second run. They're always going to get 1 initially, but they can come back for 2. So Oman, despite all those wickets in hand, they've been a bit more conservative compared to some of what we saw yesterday from Nepal. It was really the collapse at the end, which caused Nepal to fall short of 300. But Oman with wickets in hand, you can see why maybe Jatinder charged down the track, because with the platform they had, they can afford to take a few risks. Didn't come off for him, but this is an incredible platform. And Oman, the other issue for them today, and you wonder how much they're going to be able to accelerate from here in spite of the platform. No Mohammad Nadeem in the middle order. He's been subbed out today. And Nasim Kushi, who is arguably their best power hitter at the death, he's sitting out for the second match in a row. So that might also have affected some of the approach from Oman here, where they've been maybe just a tad conservative despite all the wickets in hand.
Yeah, again, when you lose those 2 big bats in the middle, just kind of makes you reassess the way you're going to play out your innings. I think the top order here for Oman are just going to sit there and say, we got to play through 40. And then from there, we can really take these risks. And runs are flowing they were flowing for them until Nash has really quieted things down. So they could afford that kind of game plan. It's going to be interesting to see, though, what's the counterpunch? Are they just going to keep playing the way they're playing? You have to imagine there is going to be some shot making, some shot creating at some point. Because they can't just have these 3-run overs come by as they head towards the 30th over mark.
They've got their captain, Zishan Maksud, coming off a century in his last match against Nepal. But after him, it's been a little bit scratchy after Ayan Khan and Kalbar Ali. So you'd expect them to be confident through 6, but they're missing that firepower perhaps at the death. As Nisarg Patel returns in place of Taylor at the Massey Ranch, and 3 mediocre overs, I argue, from Taylor compared to Kenjige at the opposite end. And using the feet here, Shoaib Khan finds the gap in the leg side, and Madani can't deny the second. So 2 more runs to Shoaib Khan.
And you saw the approach there. He's not going to stand idly by. Comes down the track. There's no one at mid-wicket. And now they've just moved fielders around. But there was no one at mid-wicket at that time, so he just had to get it into that area, and it was a pretty safe shot, played it with a straight bat. Again, they're going to look to push from here, Oman.
And we've seen this played a lot. We saw Stephen Taylor played a lot yesterday. We've seen Jatinder try and play this shot, and now Shoaib Khan with just that dab to the spinners. When they darted in a bit too quick, they just used the pace on the ball. And they all for the width, and it's just an easy single for Shoaib. Now flighting it, and is scoring on that shot. Not as easy, but they're still able to pick off a single on Kenjigate on the ring.
Yeah, with that ball, it was not as quick as we've normally seen, so you saw Prajapati just have the ability to just work it just to the right of Nash at point, allow them to take that easy single.
And using the feet, flicking this out to Stevenson, and a deep backward square. Tehran was on that side of the ground earlier. Now Stevenson, you can pick him out because he's got a towel tucked into the back of his trousers. And Taylor can't cut the distance off, and it's going to be Mukamal on as a sub. Fires this on one bounce to Monak Patel. Now I say Rusty Tehran, I say Stevenson's got a towel in the back of his trousers to identify him, but Rusty Tehran does too. And again, using the pace, getting this by Kenjigate, who's given chase. He'll track it down for two. Very efficient 8-run over for Oman. 124 for one after 27.
Yeah, they didn't just sit there and just block it around. You saw them move the feet. You saw them just work it into gaps. Again, they've been very smart with the way they've played. They're not trying to do too much. They've just taken what the bowler's given them. You can see Monak Patel just talking to Nisar, saying, you got to find a way to choke things down, change things up. You got to jam them up for room. And Oman just making life very difficult for the bowlers with all their movement and their ability to just create runs, really off any type of delivery.
Rajapati begins with a single to start Kenjigate's 5th over. And now he's within a boundary, bringing up a half century. He's been a little bit light of runs since his arrival here in Texas. Out for a duck against Nepal, made 28 in the first match against USA. He's got 4 ODI 50s to his name, best of 81.
Again, you see the footwork here, just keeping the USA bowlers off balance at the moment.
Tries to go over the top. Stevenson is just going to watch this sail over his head. And it goes well beyond the sight screen. That is an impressive blow struck by Kashyap Prajapati, and what a way to bring up a half century. His 5th in ODIs. Wave the bat to the Oman dugout. And Oman, after the loss of Jatinder, have got back right on track.
Been a brilliant innings for Prajapati. Hasn't taken any risk. He's been completely safe. Again, the use of the feet that time against Nash Kenjigate. He comes down the track, able to launch this one. Played it with the wind. Safe shot. 6 runs and a 50 up. And a brilliant, brilliant 50 for the Omani opener.
That's what Jatinder Singh was trying to do a couple overs ago. Didn't come off for him, but it does, and then some for Prajapati. Travalkar back on the field now. He was off for a little while. And here it is, that 6 again. They bring up the half century.
Again, just look at the use of the feet. Got to the pitch of the ball. And just watch it sail past any of the fielders and the side screen.
Good comeback by Kenjigate after the 6. 3 dots to finish the over. 8 runs from it. 132 for 1 after 28.
Take another look. Kenjige just giving some more flight. Prajapati obliges, comes down the track, gets to the pitch of the ball, and sends it way, way over the side screen. Brilliant shot. And Oman looking full flow at the moment.
This is another advantage for us. Oman with the wind blowing out towards the Pearland end. There's a pedal sweep, no fine leg in place. Long way for Stevenson to go from deep backward square. It's going to be an easy 2. Because the wind is consistently blowing that way all tour. Don't have to worry about parking my car behind the sight screen at the Massey Ranch end, because you're never going to see a 6 carry beyond the sight screen at the Massey Ranch end and into the parking lot to put any of the cars here in danger of an insurance job.
Just be careful what you say, Peter. If we see somehow the wind swirls around, the ball goes over, people are going to start clipping this. And they're going to send it to you, and they're going to send you the bill as well, Peter. So this is your fault. So just be careful with that.
Need to get the local weatherman out here, see if the wind ever blows south. It's been blowing to the north basically the entire week. There was one day where it did start to shift directions. There were a couple 6s that were hit off the facade of the change rooms. But nothing over the change rooms. You need to get Andre Russell out here to clear the change rooms. Make people think twice about parking too close behind the sight screen of the Massey Ranch end. Or maybe even Liam Livingston or
David Miller.
David Miller, yeah. Liam Livingston had an absolutely gargantuan 6 in the IPL, 117 meters. And that was the biggest hit of the season.
Well, the USA, they're going to need, Alexander Chahal, they need to break this partnership. They need to take a wicket now. Oman are just cruising at the moment.
Big heave trying to clear him on. Muhammad can't get there. And this is going to trickle just short of the rope. Madani, great work to save at least 1 run. That was in the air for a long time. Muhammad looked like he got a good read on it. He moved immediately to his right, but the wind blowing to the east just helped take it out of his reach.
Merely the wicket the USA were looking for. Going to slide it up, elect to hit it. And again, right away, Yasser moved towards it. Outreach hand would have been a terrific catch, but just could not get to it. Like you said, Peter, maybe the wind pushes it just enough. Survives on the last ball before the drinks break.
Yeah, the wind's been blowing east all day, and I think you can credit that one in favor of Oman in terms of the wind helping to take that away from Muhammad. So close, USA. We'll get one more look.
Again, just an outreach hand. He moved very, very quickly. Not much more Yasser Muhammad could have done. Again, if he would have taken that one and made his idol, the reason he makes number 88, Michael Irvin, proud. Again, but good work from Sushat Wadani, being active, coming down, stopping that one. Again, nearly an opportunity for USA right before drinks to break this partnership.
So we are at the second drinks break. Again, a reminder to everybody that I'm taking 3 scheduled drinks breaks because of the extreme heat here at Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. That's a look so far. Jatinder Singh with a half century before a superb catch by Aaron Jones. Created the only breakthrough for USA, and that came after Jatinder was dropped on 15. So the chance cost USA 42 runs in the end before they finally are able to dismiss him, but not before a century partnership produced with Kashyap Prajapati, who has now also crossed 50. And there's a look at the USA bowling card.
Again, once again, we saw Saurabh Netravalkar be very economical early. Nash Kenjige with a big breakthrough, and those two, the 2 pick of the bowlers, but just unable to break partnerships. The Rusty Theron drop early on really could have changed the game. But Oman well ahead at the moment.
So there's the state of play. You're watching live coverage of the SkyExchange.net ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 ODI Tri-Series supported by Dream11. We'll take a short break and be back with you at the resumption of play. So, here at Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. Here, Oman cruising at the moment, after batting first at the toss. And it's because they're playing shots like this. Life is easy on this wicket. Easy to resume play off the bat of Prajapati. Watching on Willow TV in North America, fan code in the Asian subcontinent, and ICC TV around the world. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so on Twitter. I'm at Peter Dellapenna. Peter, DELLAPENNA. There's another singles taken. Aman Patel at AP Sports News _. That's AP for Aman Patel. AP Sports News _. Tweet us. Let us know where you're watching the game from, what you think of the state of play. We'll try and read out a few of your tweets on air during the course of this innings. I already got a tweet from somebody who was here yesterday, Aman, who got a selfie with Stephen Taylor, who was quite generous with his time after the match ended yesterday, in spite of USA feeling like they lost what was actually tied. Taylor, after his century, he was quite popular with the Nepal fans who were out here. He was taking a lot of selfies, and the fans couldn't get enough of him yesterday, whether they were the USA fans or Nepal fans. And this time, Shoaib will collect an easy two. The fan tweeted out a picture of the selfie he took with Stephen Taylor on the boundary after the game ended. Here's the photo of me from yesterday. Had to run away from the heat for today, though. Still watching and listening to your commentary. Top work, lads. Understandable. It's hard enough for the players coming out here 2 days in a row in 100-degree temperatures. Just as hard for the fans. And I can understand maybe taking a day off and enjoying the commentary. I hope that means we're doing a decent enough job, Aman, if they've opted to sit at home in the air-conditioned environment and take in the game with us.
I take that as a win. Again, they might not be here in person, but they're willing to hear us talk whilst the game goes on.
There's the ambulance that's there for the fans. You don't want heat stroke and dehydration. You talk to medical personnel who attend sporting events at professional level all around America and in other places in the world, and you'll find out some interesting things about why they need that kind of support in place. I remember when India played the West Indies in Florida in 2019, I was floating around in the media center after the play ended, and in a crowd of 10,000 people, or 12,000 people thereabouts at the Broward County Stadium in Lauderhill, the police and first aid and fire personnel were doing a briefing at the end of play to summarize how the day went for them, and they had, I believe it was either 13 or 19 medical incidents that they had to respond to, with heat stroke being the number one thing. Caused all sorts of health issues with dehydration and people fainting and passing out and high blood pressure and other ailments that get sparked in conditions like this. So the ambulance is there, and it's not just for the players, it's for the fans as well. You want to make sure everybody's safe and protected, and in conditions like that, you can't be too cautious. Like we've got here at Moosa Stadium today, 100-degree temperatures, over 100 degrees, heat index. As finally, Shoaib breaks the dot ball streak in this over against Nisarg Patel to get 2.
And we've seen in this over, Nisarg Patel change things up, but also some dot balls started to build up. And I think the USA, after their meeting, say, look, chase the dot balls. Force them to do something. Force them to come down and play over the top. That's when we'll create our best wicket-taking opportunities. But we got to make sure we're very, very tight with everything. Don't give them any freebies. They're in no position at the moment to do so. Make them earn everything.
Madani's got a lot of energy. It's always Sushant Madani and Nash Kenjige who are at the top of the test for the fitness measurements in terms of conditioning and all that. As Rajapati talked about trying to build pressure and force a loose shot. Almost pays the price there, but gets away with it. And 3-run over, 147 for 1 after 31.
And really the first false shot we've seen from Prajapati. Again, throughout the day, he's been very content to play straight. This time, the ball was on stumps, and he elected to try that sweep. Again, to Peter's liking, it was with the wind, but it is against the turn. Again, for my liking, the sweep on stumps is never a successful shot, especially here at Moosa. Has been very deceptive and very tough to play for the Omani batters. And that one time just darted in quicker, and it jumped up on Shoaib Khan.
Another delicate glance. Muhammad trying to cut off 2, but he's not going to be able to. Easy pair for Prajapati. Check that Shoaib Khan.
Really good running from these two. Understood where it was in the position to Yasser Muhammad. Knew he had to make up a lot of ground. And they charged on for 2.
Uses his feet, goes over the top of cover. Madani's out there to protect against the second run.
And you can see very eager to use his feet. We saw it in the first. The USA very eager to use his feet. Then very eager to use his feet now. Again, she's just been very difficult to play.
And it looked like that missed everything. Big heave. We'll see if there's a signal. 1 run collected. No. Samir Bandekar says he got an edge on that. I'd like to get a look at the replay on that, because came off quite high past Jarawala, who is now keeping wicket for Monank Patel, who was off the field. And this is another reason I was surprised Rahul Jarawala was not playing today in the 11, because asking Monank Patel to keep wicket for 100 overs, in addition to batting as long as he did, is going to be an incredible physical toll on him as the captain. And I believe at the last drinks break, Jarawala has taken over the gloves behind the stumps at the start of the 30th over.
And I like the move from Morning Patel as well. And you mentioned it, the physical toll of keeping wickets all day and then trying to come in and bat and try to bat very, very long in this kind of heat. It's just something that's very tough to do. We saw him try to do it yesterday. We saw him take game 1 against Oman, struggled in the second innings, had to come off for Rahul Jodiwala. So to make the move early, I like it here for Morning Patel.
You're going to try and push for 2 here. He's tapped this just to the edge of the ring, but Madani off like a rocket from the boundary to deny that second. Using his feet, trying to go over cover through the wind, but he does pick the gap. So he just wanted to run on the cover boundary.
Yeah, again, we've seen a little more aerial shots here from Oman, trying to take the push to the USA, trying to up the ante. That one just going over the top of covers.
This time late cut. It's going to beat Kenjige. And go all the way to the rope. First boundary for Shoaib Khan in this innings. He's collected a lot of singles and twos to keep his scoring very efficiently. But if you can believe it, that's just his first boundary. It just shows how well he's been scoring in spite of not finding the rope.
And again, we've seen Oman time and time again able to manipulate the field in different ways. This one was played through mid-wicket. The last one, if you take a look at the replay, again, it wasn't that wide, just enough width to allow him to get it away from Nash Kenjige.
This one, a dot ball to Shoaib. On that last 2, that was run by Shoaib Khan. They actually signaled it 1 short. So now 2 days in a row. On it. Will we see it happen? Will we see another tie today with the what would have been the winning run gone begging to produce a tie because another signaled 1 short? We saw it yesterday with Stephen Taylor, Leslie Reed Jr. Are we going to see it happen again today?
Well, we got to keep that one in mind. 32nd over, there was 1 run short. And if we have another close match, we're going to turn to that one and say, just get your bat over the line. If we were to see another tie today, Peter, that would be an unbelievable thing, one, and just the rarest of circumstances, the rarest of coincidences. And Oman, I think, would be very disappointed the way they've started this match to finish it in a tie.
So that's an 8-run over instead of a 9-run over. 160 for 1 after 33. All the scores were adamant. In the score box next to us, it was definitely signaled 1 short. Kenjige looks like he's going to bowl 10 straight here. He's been in a good rhythm. Taylor can't collect that. There's some of the tiredness showing up now for USA in the field.
And again, this feels like the States have just been first gear in the game. They haven't really turned up the knob. Just letting the game come to them. Got to find a way to start attacking.
can hear Amar Motoro with the dole in the background through the effects mic. He's trying to get the dole going to get behind the USA players. It's been a bit quiet since that wicket. And just an easy single flicked into the gap on the leg side.
No, she's been in really good rhythm, but these two have elected to not just play them out. They're just going to look for singles, keep pushing it in gaps.
Jones with a diving stop. Attempted. Can't collect it cleanly, so it's just going to be another easy single into the offside. Five runs in the over, 165 for one after 34. Phil Malkey, the #1 super fan of the USA who was here a couple weeks ago and even presented a Player of the Match award. Phil has tweeted in, he's on the move today in Alberta. He's taking a trip throughout Canada, some of the national parks up north of the border. Hope you're enjoying yourself, Phil. Let's go, USA. It's the end of Phil's tweet. Can't leave that out. Phil loves supporting USA. I saw Phil with the floppy hat, the new T10 Sports USA floppy hat. Looked outstanding on Phil, as well as the jersey he had on. As Nisarg is going to pull out his last over here. Arjunan Etier-Vieirasingham. He's also followed the USA team for many, many years. I saw him. He came out to Oman a couple years ago when USA was touring Oman. Arjunan came out and watched USA play at the Oman Cricket Academy. He's watching from Sri Lanka today. We had the one run short just a few moments ago. Arjunan also pointing out, by the way, Nepal was 144 after 30 overs yesterday, too. Uh-oh, Aman. The signs, they're all pointing.
It's pointing in the direction that we all would fear. I think at this stage, the U.S. might take a tie the way the batting games has gone so far for Oman. But, again, just got to find a way to change things up. Wouldn't be surprised to see a pacer brought into attack.
Now, imagine if that happens again. They're going to push for two here. Tehran has got a long way to try and deny this, and he can't field it cleanly, so they will get that two safely in the end. But it's hard enough explaining to cricket newbies about Test cricket and a draw. Imagine trying to explain to them 7 hours of play, 2 days in a row, 8 hours of play with all the breaks. If you think about how slow the pace of play has been going with the heat. 8 hours of play, 2 days in a row, 2 separate matches, both ending in a tie.
That would be one that you'd really have to try to come up with something because, honestly, the intrigue factor in there is huge. As you see, Sushant Madani make a great stop in the deep. But as you said, trying to talk about Test cricket and draws and then say, yeah, 16 hours of play and no result in either game. That's one you're gonna really have to work to keep that person involved in cricket.
Fingers crossed it doesn't come to that today, especially for USA's benefit, because imagine what it would feel like to be on the playing side of consecutive ties in 100-degree heat. Fingers crossed it doesn't come to that for everybody's sake. 170 for one after 35. Kenjige, indeed, it does look like he's going to bowl 10 straight here. Nisarg Patel has just bowled out, none for 49 in his 10. Kenjige is about to start his 9th over. And just a fraction short and pulled out to the leg side where there's protection out there for one.
And again, what I would like to see from USA is try to do something different. It feels like they're just going at the pace of the game, change things up. We've seen Kyle Coates at times for Scotland have some great tactical pauses, make some great tactical moves. Just feels like the USA are very content in just continuing to bowl at the rhythm of the batsman. Break that rhythm off. Do something, change it up, bring a pacer in from an end. Find a way to break the rhythm. Don't just let him get in the groove and stick in it.
Big heave. And Shoaib nearly throwing his wicket away there.
Notch has just been so tough to play for these batsmen.
Awful lot of air, trying to tease him into another gigantic heave. And Shoaib keeping his cool in this Texas heat.
Yeah, understanding that there's no point in heaving one.
Just 2 runs from it. Good work by Kenjigay. He's bowled a good spell in the context of this match. 1 for 32 and 9. Unbroken spell. We're going to see him finish out in the next over from the Pearland end more than likely. 172 for 1 after 36. As partnership between this set is now moved well past 50.
Against a very good partnership. Hasn't missed a beat since the wicket of Jatinder Singh. We've seen Prajapati come in, play well all the way throughout from the opening spot, and Shoaib Khan comes in and right away continuing to rotate strike, taking advantage of the bad balls and keeping things flowing. But Peter, here's the wish that I had, breaking some of the rhythm, trying something different. They're going to bring on the pacer and Cam Stevenson for his second spell. He's going to bowl with the wind behind him, blowing behind him.
Now, we've got the USA floppy here. Do you think we can contact T10 Sports and get them to design a Cameron Stevenson USA headband?
Oh, that would be terrific. The headband is such an iconic look for Cam Stevenson. Always love a good headband when Stuart Broad and James Anderson were wearing the headband. How cool was that to see?
Saw Dale Steyn put it on for the latter part of his career, too. And bangs it in short immediately. The field is set to bowl short. He's got a deep square leg, deep fine leg, deep third man, and a point sweeper in place. Mid-off and mid-on are up in the ring, so it's no surprise to see Stevenson bang it in short. Again, the wind is blowing out to the east, so that pull shot just attempted there. Rajapati, if it sits up from, he won't hesitate to try and clear the rope because it might go into the Harwich Road, neighboring the east side boundary. Again, a pull shot. He's got a deep square leg in place. This is going through wide mid-wicket. Madani is never going to cut off the second there.
Yeah, and again, we've seen Cam Stevenson try the short ball consistently. I'd like to see him just a little bit fuller than where he is. Again, the field is set to bowl the way he's bowling, bowl short. I'd like to see him bowl on a length. He's going to get over bounds. He's a big, tall individual. So if he goes on a length, he'll just jump up on the batsman. Just to me, create more of a wicket-taking chance.
Here's that length you're talking about. Tapped away for a single. He's got the wind at his back, as you said as well. You can hear the wind rustling through the effects microphone.
And if they try to hit straight, they're going to hit right into the wind, so it still brings on and mid-off into play. So it's not a bad option to keep it a touch fuller than short.
This is going to be a leg bye from the looks of it. And Leslie Reefer Jr. does complete the signal. Back of the length, and it sounded like there might have been a noise there, but instead it just beats the outside edge.
And again, that's where I like Cam Stevenson, because you just bring in all the types of dismissal into play, the chop on, the outside edge. And if you try to go straight back on that length, you do bring in those fielders. You try to pull them. Again, the top edge comes into play. That, to me, is a much better length than just bowling in the traditional short ball.
Back of the length again, can't find the gap past Conjugate backward point. So just 3 runs off the bat, 4 in the over by Stevenson. His best over of the day. None for 25 and 4. And it's 176 for 1 after 37. So all these wickets in hand, and yet they're still being a tad conservative. Do you think they can get to 300 with a captain who's coming off an unbeaten century still yet to come to the middle?
Well, when we talk about Zishan Maksudi, took it very deep in that match against Nepal when he scored that century. Didn't really play too positively early on, and not having those 2 big bats in the middle are going to hurt. Can we talk about routinely adding 100 runs to where you were at the 40th over mark? At this point, Oman is just looking at the brink of 300. So you're going to have to expect these two to start playing some bigger shots and try to take advantage of the Tuesday bowlers.
You see Jarwal behind the stumps. He's taken over from Monang Patel at the last drinks break, and Kenjiga starts his final over in poor fashion. Great effort by Tehran, but it's not going to produce the desired result. Boundary for Shoaib Khan, his second, as he is once again looking very, very fluent.
Getting a lovely shot there. He's just found a way, whenever the pressure seems to be building, to put something on the board. And he's been racing away. Again, being aggressive doesn't necessarily mean going after the big shots. Just putting the bad balls away and putting them away for 4. Again, Nash is going to be disappointed with himself. Just relieves a lot of the pressure that was built up in the Cam Stevenson over.
Now goes on to the back through the offside. The sweeper is very, very wide out towards mid-off. Madani has so much ground to cover. Another easy 2.
And again, we talk about Shoaib Khan and what he's done since coming in. He's 43 off of 48, Peter. He's not taking a lot of time. He's made up for all the time he's taken. Again, Nash got just too short, and it was just too easy. Put the ball away. As we said, you got to take advantage of the bad balls, and Khan doing just that.
Tries to quicken up his pace a little bit. Milled for a single to long on. Gajanand Singh is also back in the field now. Saw him off the field for a little while. Sai Mukamala, though, still on as a sub fielder at the moment. Stephen Taylor is off the field for USA, in addition to Monang Patel.
Again, just rotating the rest around. Trying to get the bats in some rest before they have to go in.
And Netravalkar's so deep on the ring. Shoaib Khan initially was not interested before he realized, here's a single there. I can make that run.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why Saurabh Netravalkar is entirely that deep. Again, from there, you're not going to necessarily get that catch. I'd like to see him just 3 or 4 steps in.
Goes for the sweep. Big appeal for stumping from Jarwala, but not out, says Leslie Reefer Jr. Just in case the leg dragged out of the crease. Jarwala took the bails off. And his back foot is in. 9 run over, 185 for 1 after 38.
Yeah, and again, we've seen Prajapati do this a couple times, just trying to sweep these deliveries. Again, let's take a look at the stumping. And Leslie Reefer very quick to turn. Jarwala's appealed down. He was out of the crease for a moment, but did end up getting back in. So good work from Prajapati to get his feet back inside. Again, good stuff from the youngster. Very quick behind the stumps. Just keeping the batsman honest.
Here's the over by over. Oman, just 3 double-digit overs in this innings, but they've consistently been getting 4 or 5 and over throughout. As Kenjige finishes up his spell with 1 for 41 in 10. Stevenson continues with his 5th over now.
Again, the length that he bowled his last 3 deliveries in the previous over is where he needs to be. Operate around there, let him play from there. The wickets will open up. Also very tough to score off of that length. I've seen it time and time again here. Musa, don't fall in love with the short ball.
Length delivery. He's got the wind at his back again, and he beats the outside edge. Short and wide. Jones dives over the top of the ball. And it'll be another easy 2 for Prajapati. We've seen a number of centuries throughout. There's the wind. You can see the wind blowing very strongly. The Scotland flag, the Oman flag, the USA flag, the Nepal flag there. The wind's been gusting 20, 25 miles an hour. Some days of the week, the flags have just been kind of drifting, hanging gently. Not the case today. They're flying very strongly horizontally. You can see it above Sushant Madani as he fields there. The winds are just probably at the strongest they've been at any point in this tour today. It's made the heat a little bit more bearable, but it's still, that wind is very fierce out there, blowing out to the leg side boundary for the right-handers on strike to Stevenson.
And again, that's why, to me, the pull shot isn't exactly what you're looking for. As you see the fans on the stands, because if there's any bit of bad on it, the wind is going to blow in that direction and help the delivery.
Extra pace. Stevenson again with the wind at his back. Wind's blowing northeast. Oh, just bending his back and getting a little bit of extra burst with the aid of the wind, tailing it into the body. Shoaib Khan able to keep it out for the moment. He's looking for his second ODI half-century this tour. Made 59 against USA in the first match for Oman here. And then 27 against Nepal. Had a really good start. Wasn't able to convert, but was enough runs there to help Oman get to victory against Nepal. And just steers this behind point for an easy single. So 5 runs in the over, 190 for 1 after 39.
Getting done really well, just keeping the strike rotating, even when the boundaries aren't flowing. Still able to keep the scoreboard ticking. And again, a lot of intent shown by both Shoaib Khan and Prajapati, both of whom eyeing down landmarks. And you look at the bowling card for the United States, Nisarg Patel bowls out, and Nash Kenjige bowls out as well. So where are your options? Rashid Tharan, only 3 overs bowled. It looks like he's going to be given another over. Cam Stevenson's bowled well. You know Saurabh Netravalkar is going to get the ball back at some point. The pick of the bowlers remaining so far would have to be Saurabh.
Kenjige's just finished his spell, which is why Tehran is coming on to replace him at the Pearland end. As there's a slight delay here. We've got one more scheduled drinks break to come, which will be in about 15 minutes' time. Again, 3 drinks breaks today because of the extreme heat that's been agreed to by the match officials. As Tehran is the ball in hand again. None for 20 and 3 overs for Rusty. And he's going to be blown into the wind, blowing across to the northeast. He's coming from the north in the Pearland end. And Shoaib is going to settle for one here. Good work from Kenjige on the leg side rope to deny that second.
Again, even when the boundaries aren't flowing, Oman just continuously ticking the scoreboard. But again, they can't get complacent. They've got to make sure they up the ante. Still not at 200 here in the 40th over. They've batted far too well to not see themselves to a score around 300. There's Ali Khan on your screen again, electrifying the crowd in the previous couple of days. Not in today. Rarely plays back-to-backs.
Going over the top. And with Midoff in the ring, it is a very safe shot. And the wind blowing out to that side of the boundary as well. And it's going to be a no ball as well. Rubbing 4 runs and a little bit of salt into the wound for USA.
Again, Duggan short is also a no ball that went for 4 runs. He just stood on top of it. Just had to lift it over covers. Lovely shot. And now he gets a free hit.
And they can't change the field, so he can go to that same zone again. There's only a cover on the offside boundary in front of square. He backs away from leg. Slower ball attempted, and he muscles this high over Netravalkar. So with the field up, and he can't change the field on the free hit, he takes advantage of it again, going straight down the ground. Rusty try the slower bouncer, and that is an awfully impressive shot. Not easy by any stretch to that delivery.
Again, he went with the slower one. It's a slower bouncer as well. Just look at this. It's set up for Prajapati. He had to wait on it. I was just able to slap it again. As you said, the field was up in the ring, so he just had to clear Saurabh Netravalkar mid-off. Puts that one all the way for 4 runs. Not a great start to the over for the USA, but like we said, needing to up the ante. Oman doing just that at the moment.
So now Long Off does go back after those 2 shots. Netravalkar goes back to the rope. This is the last over play where USA can have only 4 fielders in. After this over, they can put a 5th man back on the ring. Now, they decide against Netravalkar going back. They're going to send Gajanand Singh out to long on and keep Netravalkar in the ring at mid-off. Already 10 runs from this over to take Oman to 200. And they'll just settle for a single here. So the 200 up with a little bit more than 10 overs to go. Oman, what do you think they can get to from here? Can they get to 300?
Again, like we said, in the last 10 overs, teams consistently able to put up 100-plus runs. But the only time we haven't seen it was from Nepal yesterday. But the way these two are going at it, I think 300 is on the cards for Oman. Again, with the way they've batted, it'd be a shame for them to get anywhere out of this chase under 300. Because just how well they've put on a show here in the first innings. 300 definitely on the table.
One tap. They're going to push for a second. Kenjige is taking his time to get to the ball. Maybe trying to taunt them, tease them into going for a second. And Shoaib recognizes the fielder out there, so he's just going to settle for one. Not going to take any unnecessary risks on 49.
He's played so exceptionally well, Shoaib Khan, and he's been very, very positive from the get-go. And Prajapati's been helping out the previous couple of overs. Slowed things down. This over, though, he's starting to accelerate.
And a miscued shot to mid-wicket. Nisarg Patel doing the fielding there.
And you can see the mindset change from Prajapati. He wants to go big. He's trying to go big. At that time, hand comes off the bat, caught an inside edge. Just found the fielder, but the mindset is there for Prajapati. He's going to try to find boundaries now as we head towards the last 10 overs.
Prajapati will keep the strike for the start of the final 10 overs of play. 13 runs in the over, 203 for one, with Shoaib Khan starting off strike on 49. As Prajapati again comes into today with a best of 81, so he has now moved on to his career best in ODI cricket for Oman in his 21st match.
And again, it's just been a great innings from Prajapati from the very beginning, coming in, opening the batting, and again showed the right approach. You playing with the straight bat, not trying to do too much whilst the ball's on stumps. Again, as of late, he's changed the approach now. He's gonna go big. He's gonna go home. Understands that they need to get to 300 to put that scoreboard pressure on the States. And just the way they've batted this team, if they aren't able to get to 300, they're going to be very disappointed with the result.
So Netravalkar, who bowled 5 overs with a new ball, is going to come back at the death now and most likely bowl out from here. He comes back from the Massey Ranch end. Around the stumps. And he's milked into the offside for one. And it brings Shoaib Khan on strike. Looking for what would be his 5th ODI half century. He's also got a century, best of 105 not out. And an easy flick off the hips. I'll bring up the 3rd half century of the innings and a raise to the bat to the Oman dugout. Shoaib Khan, his 2nd half century of the tour.
He's looked so very, very good today. Again, come out with a very positive intent to just take singles. Just picked it up in the previous couple of overs. But again, he's picked up where he left off. 2nd half century of the tour. So good for Oman at the one-down spot throughout his time here at Musa and throughout his career. A well-deserved half century.
And this time just tapped into the offside. And what's so remarkable about that, just 2 fours. He's got a strike rate just under 90, but he's just been incredibly efficient. Very few dot balls in his innings for Shoaib Khan.
And that's, again, the amazing part. He came in and didn't even miss a beat, just single after single, double after double.
It's 19 dot balls, so he's been scoring essentially off 67% of his deliveries. And going over the top, he's going to clear the ring easily through the wind. What a shot! Kasha Prajapati. What kind of power is behind that blow over mid-off?
What a shot indeed, Peter. Saurabh Netravalkar getting a little touch too full. Prajapati sees enough room for him to play that cover shot. It says, thank you very much. Again, such timing, such power. Again, take another look at this one. The elegance. Too full from Saurabh Netravalkar. Just helps it over the top. No fielder out there in the deep. It is into the wind. But calculative risk. And made it look so elegant, so effortless. 4 more for Prajapati.
And it pushes the change in the field. Mid-off goes straight back after that shot. And now he's going to push hard for two. Nobody in the ring in front of square on the leg side. They've got three boundary riders on the leg side. Deep square leg, deep mid wicket, long on. And the other two boundary riders long off in the cover sweeper. The only leg side fielder in the ring is that short fine leg. Now, I've heard some mixed reviews about the hotel breakfast here in Pearland. It can't be that bad if he's hitting shots like that with the energy he's getting from his breakfast at the team hotel. And he's turned back. Shoaib Khan is by Prajapati. To end a 7-run over, 210 for one after 41. And during the course of that over, century partnership comes up. It was that boundary, that incredibly elegant boundary from Prajapati that brought up the century partnership, and literally just under a run of ball. What a stand this has been.
It's been an unbelievable partnership again. Jatinder Singh gets out. Match really could have gone one or two ways. U.S. thought they were getting back into it. But Shoaib Khan and Prajapati said, no, you are not. 104 off 105, 50 for Shoaib Khan, 52 in the partnership for Prajapati, 90 overall. And again, these two have just kept the runs flowing, keep the singles going. And now you can see the change of mindset, going for the boundaries and the big shots.
Well, Oman doing what a lot of people expected after winning the toss. Just scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring like a couple of Energizer bunnies out there. They just keep going and going and going and going. Century partnership between Jatinder Singh and Prajapati, and now another century partnership in progress between KP and Shoaib Khan. As USA has been struggling to find answers. Ashish Kenjigate, the only wicket taker. That's the state of play at the moment between USA and Oman on match day 10 here at Musa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. You're watching live coverage of the SkyExchange.net ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 ODI Tri-Series supported by Dream11 on Willow TV in North America, fan code in the Asian subcontinent, and ICC TV elsewhere in the world. I'm Peter Delapena alongside Aman Patel. We're going to take a short break and be back with you in a few minutes' time after the third and final drinks break here at Musa Stadium. Rusty Strawn has got the ball in hand. He just completed the third and final drinks break. Taking 3 drinks breaks yesterday and today because temperature is hovering around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So for safety reasons, more than anything else, they want to make sure the players are hydrated and comfortable. And Rusty Strawn starts off this final sequence of play with a wide. Prajapati already on a career best 90. And we were talking about it after the break. You brought it up. There's a very important player missing at this stage of the match for USA. And you wonder how USA is going to try and drag this match back to the death without him.
No Ali Khan in today's 11. Again, rarely plays back-to-back ODIs in this sweltering Houston heat. You couldn't imagine him coming back out to play. And we've seen, especially yesterday, Nepal were set for a total of 320, and he comes in the middle and at the end and is able to round out the Nepali side in the last 10 overs. You don't have that today. Who's going to do it? Again, Rusty Theron has the ball from this end. Peter, I talked to you during the break. I'm just surprised they take off Cam Stevenson. I thought he really found a rhythm. I thought he had really understood where to pitch the ball. Rusty Theron, no slouch of a bowler. But I thought Cam Stevenson had finally found and had something going. Surprised to see him off.
And a big heave across the line. Shoaib can't get better. I agree with you. His second spell, 2 overs for 8 runs. The only thing we've seen, as you see Amar Doli hanging the drum with the stars and stripes draped over the top of it. It's been a ploy that USA has used consistently over the last several matches. These 2-over bursts. Before the death, you see a lot of 2-over bursts for the pace bowlers. They rotate them around, but I'm with you. Cam Stevenson was in a good rhythm from the Massey Ranch end in his second spell. And I'm a bit curious why he was taken off, especially with the wind at his back. Saurabh Netravalkar is much more comfortable bowling into the wind. That's what he's accustomed to. And I'm surprised they didn't bring Netravalkar back from the Pearland end, where he'd be bowling into the wind and using that in terms of his bowling style. Instead, it's Tehran who's coming back from the Pearland end.
And it's not like Rusty's bowled terribly. It's just you had 2 guys that could touch. But to Rusty's credit, he's started this over very well. He's hit the lengths, and he's been at and about off stump, apart from the one wide.
Big appeal, hit deep in the crease, and it's given out. Shoaib Khan goes for 51. Four wickets yesterday. Comes back here again with a late spell and finally breaks another century partnership.
This is what we were looking for if you're the USA. You're looking to find that wicket. And Peter, me and you talked about Cam Stevenson and Saurabh from this end. Well, Rusty Theron hearing us says, no, you guys, I'm going to be the man to do it and get the job done. Again, on a length and about off stump, hitting high. Again, it's going to be tied. I think it would have been really close in the umpire's call if there was a third umpire. Again, it was deep in the crease on the back leg, so it looked pretty good from there. Shoaib Khan, it ends a brilliant innings from him, 51 off of 60. Rusty Theron finally with the breakthrough. And is this the stage where USA can clamp down and keep Oman away from 300?
Well, it's easier said than done when you've got the Oman captain who's coming off a century into the middle. The only thing you'd say to USA's advantage is that he does prefer spin on the ball instead of pace. But in his early career with Oman, Zishan Maksud was an opening bat He was a very dashing opening bat as well. He's kind of changed his style to suit the needs of the team in recent years, but at the start of his career, he was as flamboyant as it got on the associate scene, and as an opening bat, was just as comfortable against pace as he was against spin, and he also presents an opportunity to disrupt USA in terms of a left-hand, right-hand combination now out in the middle. First left-hander of the day for Oman, and it's the drinks break. First over after drinks. Just disrupts the rhythm for the partnership and allows USA to make that breakthrough. Rusty Tehran, who's taken a wicket in every single game of this tour that he's played. He's been very, very consistent. And Stephen Taylor, who was off the field for a little while, he's now back on. He's fielding at long on to the first ball about to be faced by Zishan Maqsood. Ayan Khan is padded up and ready to come in if need be. Scored a half century against USA the first time they played. Deep backward square, long on, long off. Cover sweeper and deep third man. The boundary riders for Maqsood facing his first delivery.
And Rusty, it was a brilliant over here. Again, he's on the money. Apart from the one wide, he's just kept it on the bat, off stump, right on the length, doing exactly the job his team needed, and gets the big wicket breakthrough in the over.
4 runs from the over. 214 for 2 after 42, and you can see Rahul Jarwal keeping wicket. He's not in the starting 11 today, but he's taken over for Monank Patel behind the stumps at the second drinks break, which happened at 29 overs. Just a consequence of Monank dealing with some physical exhaustion. Keeping wicket in this heat for 2 consecutive days was always going to be a huge ask, and the umpire showing a little bit of leniency in the conditions, allowing Jarwal to come in and keep wicket as a substitute. You can do that nowadays. They changed the laws in the last couple of years. It used to be somebody who was in the starting 11 had to keep wicket if the starting wicketkeeper could not continue for whatever reason. They've flexed that rule in the last couple of years. The law change was made in the playing conditions so that you can have a substitute fielder take the gloves, and part of that is just for safety reasons, because when you've got somebody who's not used to keeping wicket and you ask them to put on the gloves, it can be the case where they might have an injury because they're not accustomed to the rigors of wicket keeping. So you've got a Jarwal, who is a specialist wicketkeeper. Back there as Netravalkar charges into Maqsood.
This is one thing with Zishan Maqsood coming into the middle, is that you're not going to get those twos anymore that you were running with Shoaib Khan. And 36 years of age, the Omani captain. So you're going to have to really work for the boundaries now. The twos have to be quite obvious. He's not going to try to take on any fielders.
Slower bouncer. Picked off to short fine leg, and Isarg is not going to try and have a shy of the stumps. So Prajapati now one blow away from what would be a maiden ODI 100, as you see Amar Motoru trying to bring the USA players some extra energy, banging the dole in the gallery view.
Again, he's been cheering on the USA side. Not much going right for them today, but he's still cheering. He's always going to be banging that dole. And the biggest USA cricket fans all across the states.
Full pace, Maqsood, soft hands.
It's a good approach here from the Omani captain, understanding he doesn't have to take on the bulk of strike, the bulk of risk, and he's showing very willing to take these quick singles. We saw that delivery, the delivery prior.
Another easy single. Melt to the cover sweeper. Netravalkar takes a lot of wickets at the death, not from Yorkers. He usually changes a pace, bowling his cutters, slower balls. He's been a fairly effective death bowler for USA in his career because of his variety. He's not necessarily the best in terms of Yorkers, but it's that variety. Is Samir Bandekar, the umpire standing on the leg side, loses his hat. Again, the wind blowing so strongly, and Kenjigate has to chase it down from before play can resume. That's causing the slight delay here between deliveries. And a dot ball ties up Maksud. It means Rajapati will have the strike for the 44th. 219 for 2 after 43.
Bowling well here from the States. They're clamping things down, and for Oman, where's your way to get those boundaries? Got to find a way to convert, get a couple again. If you were to come out of this chase with less than 270 and really less than 300, you're going to be very, very disappointed.
This is where the wicket of Shoaib Khan backfires for Oman in a couple ways. One, you bring out a slow runner in Maksud, who's got to get time to get set. And two, now that you've got Prajapati in the 90s, he's not going to take any risks just from a mental standpoint. That three-figure barrier is there. You can almost feel like he's just going to try and get to that mark if he gets there through singles. He's not going to take any risks. And this is just a sequence where USA can take advantage of that and dry up the boundaries. And you wonder if it would cost Oman later on today. Here's Tehran at a stage of the match where they've got 8 wickets in hand, and they really should be a lot more aggressive, taking big swings because they can afford to with 8 wickets in hand. Instead, you've got a slow runner and a guy who's looking out for 3 figures. And it's the kind of situation where you can cost yourself 10 to 15 runs.
And not a great combination, as you mentioned. Again, just that wicket changes the rhythm of the game. And how big was that from Rashid Theran to get, again, like you said, a slow runner to the middle. Someone who's chasing 3 figures. Not going to take as many risks.
Maksud can't get bat on ball there.
And that was the ball to do it against. Again, it was pacey, it was wide, gave him the rhythm and the room to free his arms. Maksud misses out. If you get any bit of bat on that one, it's racing.
Field alignment at the moment for USA on the boundary. Deep third man, cover sweeper, long off, long on, deep square leg. And in the ring, Saurabh Netravalkar, fine leg. There's a backward point, an extra cover, and Aaron Jones is at mid-wicket in the ring. That's the fielding alignment for USA. And again, full pace. Maksud struggling to get bat on. He's looking for some help from Samir Bandekar in the form of a wide. But Samir Bandekar keeps his arms at his sides. And now Maksud and Prajapati are going to have a chat.
Again, I think Prajapati telling his captain, look, we got to find a way to continue to rotate. We can't let the dot balls pile up. And again, if you're Sisham Maksud, twice, I know you're new to the middle, but twice you let a quick delivery that was wide, gave you room to free your arms. You let it get past you. Those are the deliveries you have to take advantage of.
He's going to go over the offside. He's going to be hitting into the wind. And Tehran strays down the leg. That's why he was bowling short and wide earlier. Because if he wants to go over the top of the offside, he's got to be hitting through a fierce wind. Whereas if he strays on the legs, that one was going to go for 4 or 6. If Maksud was able to get any bat on it, you can see the wind. That's blowing to the leg side. Maksud is on strike at the Massey Ranch, and you can see how fiercely the wind is blowing. 25, 30-mile-an-hour gusts to the leg side for the left-hander. And Tehran, fortunate that he wasn't able to get bat on ball on that previous delivery. Also, was going to go to the boundary. Yeah, you hear the wind through the effects mic, and you can see it there on screen, how strong it is. As Maksud goes deep, and he's going to clear the boundary onto the top of the fence at the Heritage Road side of the ground. Big 6, that's all it takes. You let it sit up on the body, and it's going to disappear over the rope.
Like you said, the wind blowing in that direction. Not a great delivery from Rusty Theran. He just let it sit up on Zisha Maksud. And the Omani captain's not going to miss out on that. Struggles early in the over, trying to get it through the offside. Anytime on the body, left-handers, they love it right there. It's sat up. He's able to get his arms through the leg side and bang onto the fence. Six.
Did he create that dent in the top of the fence there? It came off the top of the fence. Not sure if that was like that before. There's a little disfigurement of the Harwich Road fence, and you can see just trying to flick it over the leg side again. Unable to get bad on ball. If we can get another look at that replay, see where the ball caromed off the top of the fence before coming back into play.
Again, a lovely stroke there from Zisha Maksud. Take a look at the fence, though. Doesn't look to be disfigured.
No, it was already flopping.
Yeah, it was there.
It's just wide of where that little curve is in the fence.
Would have been an ultra powerful shot had it made that dent. Again, maybe a slower ball here if you know he's going to try to take you to the leg side.
Wide Yorker, scuffed out for just a single. So 9 runs in the over, 8 off the bat, 228 for 2 after 44. And it means Prajapati will be kept off strike. Still 1 shot away from trying to get to a maiden ODI century.
And again, it was a good over for the States for a while. That 6 just changed the rhythm of it, makes it a 9-run over. But for Oman, you've got to reach higher. You've got to start to try to push. Because you need to get to 300. You deserve to be at 300. To not be at 300, you're going to go and see kind of a flip of attitude. The U.S. will think we've done really well containing them, keeping them below 300 in Oman. They'll sit there and say they left a lot of runs on the table. The captain in some rhythm now. Just hoping it can carry over into the Nether Volker over.
Oh, you can hear Sara being told to stop, don't run in yet. Nisark Patel with a heads-up veteran move. You could hear Nisark Patel's voice shouting, don't run in yet. We need one more inside, or else that would have been a no ball for a fielding restriction violation. USA had 6 fielders outside the ring. Now they've got deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on, cover sweeper, and the third man out on the rope for Maksud. And he tries to scoop this over the keeper. It's going to clear Jarawala, go very straight. But they're only going to get 1 out of it. And again, you brought it up right when he came out to bat. Slow runner between the wickets, Maksud. Anybody else at the crease, that's an automatic 2. Instead, they settle for 1. But it brings Prajapati on strike, who is 1 shot away from getting to 3 figures. He's got the leg side rope with the wind blowing out that way. We saw the wind helping Maksud as a left-hander batting from the Massey Ranch end. And for the right-hander from the Pearland end, the wind is blowing out to the leg side. Here's Netravalkar. Back of the length, outside off. He's just going to have to settle for 1.
And like you said, it's just the running between the wickets that are going to come back to hurt Oman because of the fact that it's now a single or boundary, and that's all you're dealing with at the moment. Not easy to hit Saurabh Netravalkar for boundaries. We've seen it time and time again. So if you're just settling for 1s, USA will gladly let you take singles.
With the wind wide of backward point. And again, it's just going to be just 1. Taylor sweeping on the offside for the left-hander.
So here we go, Prajapati. And he's taking a little bit more conservative approach as of late, but we've seen him play some beautiful shots into the wind, against the wind, with the wind. Doesn't matter. He's going to play the shot.
Yeah, we saw him with that elegant 4 over mid-off earlier against the wind, into the wind. They've brought mid-off up into the ring again to try and tease him into that shot again. And back of the length means he's just going to take the single on offer to the sweeper.
And again, just 1 there. The sweeper cover came around very, very quickly, but no, not even a look for 2. Something to watch.
Valker just wants Cam Stevenson to move a bit finer at deep backward square. Slower ball, mistimed to find leg. They'll take one.
Good slower ball variation from Saurabh Netravalkar. Realize that Zishan Maksud is going to try to go big after just having an over of singles, so changes it up. And maybe another slower ball to come as we see the wind coming to the leg side for Prajapati.
Taylor at deep backward square. Madani at deep mid wicket. Yasser Muhammad at long on. Tehran at long off, who's pushed back for this ball, and Stevenson on the cover boundary. Full. And they're going to tap it for one. So Prajapati moves to 99. He wants the strike. With one run away from what would be a maiden ODI ton. 6 runs in the over. 234 for 2 after 45. Prajapati Zishan Maksud. And Prajapati, 99, he's 1 run away